Six feels.
That's right, because there's characters in
Yeah,
Rainbow Six.
you go on too long without playing Rainbow Six. You're like, I'm getting killed and I don't even know how.
I don't even know
I don't
what
understand what's
I
happening.
remember where this was easy.
Yeah.
Oh, that's good. All right. Let's do it. Bye. And just like
It was like, what is happening?
and just like a red, white, and blue phoenix rising from the ashes of political bipartisanship, we are back to Salt of the Streets podcast.
This is Saturday. Oh, shit. It's Friday,
Oh!
October 3rd. I'm so used to it. It's been so long since we recorded Friday. It's Friday, October 30th, 3:33 p.m. Boom. Episode 96. How do you feel about all that?
It's pretty special.
Yeah.
It's pretty special to be here on a Friday, and welcome back, everybody, to the Salt of the Streets podcast, your one and only source for social and political commentary on all the, I'm trying not to look at the script, on all the, I gotta look at the script now, on all the weekly news, pop culture, and sports that you can handle. Oh my God, and the best part about the whole deal, it's all built from the ground up for people like you and me, the everyday normal person. So come down and join us as we discuss life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, and continue our endless endeavors to bridge the gap between people and information. As always, we are your hosts.
I am Don.
I'm Colin.
I decided to go first. Honestly, what happened is I couldn't remember who went first.
Right.
And then, not your fault.
See,
and then you looked at me as you were talking, so I was like, oh, it's me.
I was like, oh, I'm
But
supposed to talk
but
again.
it's not. I'm not.
See,
I'm Donovan, and this is Colin. And
Yeah.
he usually goes first.
right?
But apparently, neither of us know what the fuck we're doing today.
All I'm saying is, what really threw me off is lately, I don't even look at this.
You've just been smashed.
I just spit it out, and then all of a sudden I try to think about it. I was like, oh wait, what do I say?
Way to go, you played yourself.
Yeah, well, here's that's because it's Friday show, baby.
Congratulations.
It's
You
a Friday show. You're drinking a Bang Bang endorsement hashtag not ad,
Not a sponsor.
and I got me some local deliciousness from the Finn River Cidery.
There you
It's
go.
an extra spicy habanero cider.
Gross.
Tasty.
We just finished our very first YouTube pre-show on our youtube.com, Salt of the Streets.
Mm-hmm.
It's beautiful. So you're going to be able to find that instantly now. Colin's been doing clips lately.
Woo!
And they're fantastic. You can find those on all of our social medias. I am at Salt of the Street on Twitter and at alpaca_Donovan on Instagram. I'm also at Salt of the Streets on Parler. He's at Big Bird Offie on all of those things.
All of them.
Facebook, Salt of the Streets, YouTube, Salt of the Streets, Instagram, Salt of the Streets, saltofthestreets.com for all of that information. I also wanted to remind everybody, November, wanted to say at the top of the show so that I don't forget. November, today is the 30th, obviously, like we just talked about. So on Sunday, I will be making our first post for my first post, our first post. So we do it all together. Well, I do it. It doesn't fucking matter. Anyway, Sunday will be the first post that we do for November.
This is gonna be a good show.
Yeah, times are weird, so obviously I don't expect anything from anybody. I never expect anything from anybody before. If you have anything that you would like to provide, anything that you would like to give, it doesn't go to me. It goes straight through November. I don't take any of the money myself. I've never had anybody give me cash, actually. I've always offered, but I've never. I would. I've just not. It hasn't happened, but I would do it.
Yeah,
I would
'cause there's a
also
place
allow
you
you
can
to
send
stand
it,
in front
right?
of me and watch me make the donation if you so chose, because that's obviously what I'm going to do.
Oh, word.
Think that, like I said, I think I've done like $1,200 or so over the last 3 years for men's health. It's a great cause. It's something easy. This mustache is fantastic. So,
Oh, the mustache is extra strong this year.
this is what I figured out. This is what I remembered on the way here, or what I thought of on the way here that I
Yes!
finally remembered. The ending lines. I want to switch it up.
Okay.
Because, first of all, I don't think a lot of people listen clear through to the very end. You
No.
know what I'm saying?
So we'll plug them again real quick.
Right. So I also think that I'm going to revitalize it so that I'm going to start just pulling lines from shit that I enjoy.
Okay.
And if anybody can tell me, because most people, because it's topical, most people also don't go back and listen. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
So if you can tell me where the line from this week came from, I will send you a free t-shirt. Not this week in particular, because I'm going to read one off my phone, because it was just on the way here that I
Okay.
decided this.
Perfect.
But
Maybe one will come to you mid-show.
yeah, exactly. From here on out, if you hear the line It could be from something fucking new that everybody's watching. It could be from a 30, 40, 50-year-old movie that I'm watching. But that's what we're going to do. I don't think that's too difficult, but it's good. Like I said, it's just going to be an every week thing. So if you hear the line, I'm plugging it right now. At the end of the show, the last thing that we say is a line. Previously, like the first series we did was It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. I read a different line from It's Always Sunny, and then Haley finally figured that show out, and she got a free t-shirt. So same thing goes for anybody from here on out. If you recognize the line at the end of the show, we're going to plug it in the beginning every week, is what I decided. I've talked a lot for this one idea, but
this is good.
I want to be very clear.
Very clear about
I want to be sure everyone understands what we're doing.
You know, it is nice in such uncertain times to have some true clarity about something at least.
Something in our lives. Yes. So even though you won't know where the show or what the line is from, what show, what movie, what type of media, it's only going to be shows or movies. I'm not going to do books or anything. That's too broad. Shows
That'd be tough. That'd be tough.
Yeah, but it could be anything. We watch The Office a lot.
True.
We watch fucking Degrassi all the time lately. That's pretty much Degrassi. At work, I've been watching MasterChef Junior, and then I've just been struggling to find things to like capture my attention. You know, so
it's real.
Like Mountain Men, Alone. I watched 4 seasons of Alone in a week. Bro, I'm telling you.
I'm worried about you now.
I'm in a bad spot. So,
if
anybody has any, and I've talked to the neighbors about this. The biggest problem I have is that it's at work, and I stand in an area where like anybody can walk behind me. So I have to watch shit that is like safe for work. You know, I can totally justify like violence and shit, but I can't justify like drug use or like nudity or sex. I can't argue those things into justification.
So watching Holy Rollers during the workday is probably not great.
Right. So,
you seen that movie?
With Jesse Eisenberg?
Great movie.
Yes.
Great
I have
movie.
seen that movie.
It's so good.
That's a good pull, Colin. That is a good movie. Yeah. And not many people have seen it. That's a deep pull, too.
Unfortunately.
Yeah. But
Highly
Q-Tip is in that movie. You know who Q-Tip is? Q-Tip is from Tribe Called Quest.
Oh, word.
And he is like the first black drug dealer, like kind of the main guy that Jesse Eisenberg comes in contact with. The nice code, the distribution guy. That's Q-Tip.
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
Oh, damn. Deep cuts, bro.
Man, thank you for that. That was a good,
See, I have good taste in movies on occasion.
Yes, yeah. I rewatched The Man Who Killed Hitler and then Bigfoot like 3 weeks ago or something like that. I rewatched it.
Better second time around, or
not bad, not bad at all. Yeah, not bad. It doesn't make any more sense as far as like why would anybody make this movie? But.
Right?
You're like, this guy's fucking in the woods murdering Bigfoot. Like, what is happening here, bro? Yeah, dead, fake death, the whole thing. It's
literally about the title.
It's weird that Sam Elliott was like, yeah, I'll do that.
Right?
He's like, yeah, no, I'll totally do that.
But this is also the same guy that does The Ranch.
Yeah.
Which I haven't seen. I've seen a few episodes.
It wasn't for me. Into it. You know, we watched a little bit. It wasn't for me.
I tried a couple times. I haven't watched it in a while. Maybe I'll give it another shot.
He's got to be just the most interesting dude.
Yeah.
Have you seen?
I think he's rather progressive as it turns out. If I recall correctly. Yeah, because he's like an old school like doobie smoking hippie from the '60s.
He just looks like a cowboy.
Yeah. He's the
perfect
perfect cowboy, the dude.
Like 2 years ago, I think, for maybe Armed Forces Day, maybe Memorial Day, there was like a concert in the Capitol, and they had a bunch of actors do readings for like veterans that had just fucking insane experiences, and then those people were like in the audience, bro. Just like tears, and Sam Elliott does one of the readings, and I believe the person he did the reading for like got trapped under the drop gates from one of the landing crafts. Bro, if anybody who's watching this, if you have not watched that, whatever it is, I feel very confident now that it's Memorial Day, and it's from like 2 years ago. It was fucking insane.
Yeah, that sounds. I have a hard time watching that stuff, man. Like it hurts too much.
Yeah, and it's
Gets me
just
right in the feels.
it's you know, every once in a while you watch something like that or a movie.
I watched
fucking
fucking
Band of
Fury the
Brothers
other
or
day.
Fury, right? And you are reminded of the completely different caliber of person that existed in World War II than exists today.
Yep.
And not that there's not some comparison to be drawn between the regular dude in World War II and, I mean, like Navy SEAL, Special Forces now, you know what I'm saying? But it's a different,
Yeah.
it's a different, completely different caliber of regular person that existed in that day than they are now, because to get that type of grit, that type of whatever you want to call it, you have to be Special Forces. Like, that's the only comparison you can make now, where those dudes are just fucking guys that enlisted or got drafted and were sent over there, and they're like, this is where I'm at now. This is what I'm doing. I'm going to hopefully not die and hopefully liberate this whole continent from fascism and the whole rest of the world, and then maybe I'll get to go back home, and hopefully the girl that I'm in love with didn't find a little pussy to be with while I was gone.
Because that happened a lot.
All the time. That's like the end of all those movies. You're like, you don't even get the girl? You came back and you don't even get the girl.
The Pacific. That showed a lot of that side.
The fuck?
Because that was the Pacific compared to Band of Brothers, even though made by the same people.
Yes.
All that good stuff.
Different deal, though. Completely different
totally
story.
different deal. And it was just, the way the movie was, or the show was shot, totally different. The way they tell the story is totally different. It just shows a different aspect of the war. And not even just because, obviously, it's in a different theater.
Right.
But that's not even the big change.
I read that book, too. Helmet for My Pillow.
Yes.
That was a good one. Very good.
I did the audiobook of that one. At Bennick, when I was there back in the day,
After I watched that show, I bought probably like 10 or 12 military history books, personal ones, and like just regular ones.
Bro. Okay.
That's some
so,
good shit.
You know the movie Starship Troopers?
Yes. Yes.
Yes, right? I did the audiobook of Starship Troopers.
Yes. You said it was excellent, right?
Holy fuck. It is hands down one of the best things I've ever gotten through. Any piece of literature that I have consumed in some fashion. It's so good, especially for a military guy. And I'm 90% sure, so we'll have to ask Larry Dixon on this one.
Right.
If they still teach it at the academy, because it was required reading for the Army Academy.
Really?
And I know why. Because the movie and the book, very, very different things. Right?
What is there to value in the book that unless you would like to save that conversation for Larry Dixon, but
we just won't get too in deep to it. But the book itself, like the movie is it's a sci-fi action, right?
It's almost like a B action movie.
Yeah, it's a, you would classify it probably as a cult classic movie.
Yes,
you know, it's very non-A-list. And well, let's put it this way: in the movie, you remember the girl Dizzy that Rico hooks up with, the main character. Dizzy's a dude in the book.
Oh.
There aren't all the women. There's no women in the mobile infantry. There's no women fighting forces in that book. As far as like on the Army side, the mobile infantry side, they're all in the Navy and shit, so flying pilots and all that. But the biggest thing is this is not an action book at all. It's mostly about leadership and like chain of command and the importance of all these different things. And throughout the storyline, it just really brings home why those things are so important and why they're so heavily to rely on. There's a little bit of tactical stuff in there. There's a little bit of societal level type stuff. Very, very, very little in the way of actual action. Even at the very end where they go down and they get the brain bug and shit like that, totally different. That's the most action you get in the entire book. And it is, we'll just say, the beginning of the battle kind of kicks off, and then by the time they find the brain bug, some rocks fall down and knocks the guy unconscious, and then it's over. And then like he wakes up, and then like the whole battle has already taken place, and they captured all these different brain bugs, and blah. He just kind of recaps what happened. It's
what?
Yeah, and it's because it's just not about. It's not an action book.
Really?
It's really, really good, especially if you kind of like military history stuff.
I would almost argue say that that's like the opposite of the movie. The movie has very little in as far as like actual substance of, you know, certainly there's some.
The characters are kind of few and far between. There's a lot of characters that come and go really quick, but then there's only a few that are pretty main, and their characters are close to the characters they portray in the movie. Like Rico, his buddy played by Neil Patrick Harris in the movie.
Yes.
You know, he's in it in the beginning.
NPH.
Yeah, dude.
Like the most famous person in that
on
whole
fire.
movie. Yeah.
Exactly. Oh, well, let's not forget Carmen.
Yeah. What's her name?
Also known as Christmas Jones in the James Bond movie The World Is Not Enough.
Yes.
Her name is right on the tip of my tongue.
Yeah, what's her name?
Formerly married to what's-his-face. Not the Estevez. The Estevez who's not an Estevez anymore. Charlie Sheen.
Oh.
Denise Richards.
Word.
Denise Richards was in that movie. And,
There you go.
and she looked at her Denise Richards.
I mean,
That's all I'm saying. It was a great movie.
yeah.
And this book is 1,000 times better. I would love to talk to Larry Dixon about it. So
I got to hit him up and see if he's going to be on the
Yeah.
next episode.
Oh, for real? Yeah. 'Cause we kind of made that arrangement officially, unofficially on the live stream debate.
Larry, this is not your fault, but I halfway assumed that he would like hit me up and be like, "Yeah, I'll be on the next episode."
Right.
But I never heard from him.
He's a busy man out there slaying taxes, bro. Oh, speaking of taxes, what do you think? Before we like get into any like the major political stuff and all that, I mean, do you have any kind of feeling about how our state taxes and shit, all those advisory notes we talked about last time? Do you have any idea of, anecdotally, have you talked to people, has anybody mentioned that they are going to vote to repeal? Or
I did not have anybody tell me how they were going to vote, but Jordan's sister and my brother-in-law, Michael, told me that they used our show to help them understand the advisory notes.
Oh, that makes me feel good.
Yes, very cool. So, but I didn't ask them how they voted on them. Just they said that they had done it. My mom also said that she had used the show to explain some of the advisory notes. You know, I'm hoping that people are waking up enough and realizing how much money they pay in taxes, and will try and do something to reduce it. But I think with the way that they're worded on there, it's hard to understand sometimes what you are improving, you know? So especially if you're thinking of like heavy machinery and stuff, you might be like, oh, well, that's just for construction companies, so fuck them, you know?
And all they do is pump out carbon anyways.
Exactly. And so that's the type of shit that concerns me. And then if they do go to rent tobacco for the first time, they're not even going to know that it's more expensive than it was 6 months ago because of whatever they voted for. So
they're just, a new budding, excavation company is going to have a harder time trying to become successful now.
Yeah.
The barrier to entry is much higher now.
a lot of that stuff ends up being like that, without realizing it. And I think the biggest example for us was like 1639, and I always hate to like bring up more gun stuff because I don't want, people to just be like, these guys are always talking about guns. But that's just a big one for us that, when it first was introduced, we were big proponents of it. We thought it was a good idea. We told people to vote for it. We sat on this show and said it was a good idea. And then after, one of us like went and bought an AR, we're like, wait, this doesn't make any sense actually. Now that we understand the logistics between all these different weapons, like this doesn't make sense like we thought it did. And not that, and again, we've said 1,000 times, of course we think something should be done about people being killed by guns, but this is not a solution to that problem. This doesn't fix that problem.
At all.
No, even in the slightest. So it's important, and I hesitate to harp on it too much because it's so difficult to do, but to try and consider the extenuating circumstances, that's not the correct word, reverberations of the decisions of these particular voting measures, Again, because of the way they're written, it's very hard to do.
Oh, yeah.
But
you usually got to peel back the first few layers.
Yeah, but there are some resources like us, couldn't name another one because what we do is so unique, and that's why it's so good for you.
Unless you want to devote like 6 hours a day to diving into that stuff.
Yeah, but it's important to try and find something that will help you understand it, So if you know anybody that, I guess by the time this comes out, it's not too late because it comes out on Monday. So if you're listening to this today, the day that it comes out, then
the day before the end of the world,
it's not too late. You can still go back and listen to the last episode and get a breakdown of our local measures so that you can try and vote on them with a better understanding.
Get yourself informed.
Yeah. So
We don't want any low information voters out there.
No.
We don't want that, because
right.
the next time somebody calls you a low information voter, that just means that you don't know what you think you know.
Well, and you had kind of said last week it's almost better to not vote for something than to vote for it just like along party lines, or because somebody else told you how to vote for it or something like that.
That would be my opinion for sure. I'm pretty. I toy around with the idea in my perfect utopian nation state where there's some kind of barrier to entry to voting to prove that you actually understand what it is that you're voting on.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I understand that it's fundamentally incorrect to think like that. But the guy can't be faulted for wanting more informed decisions being made with the populace.
Right. But we also want you to do it on your own, and that's part of why we don't spend much time. Like we did last week, I believe, express the way we were voting, but we don't. That's not the focal point, because how we're voting, we don't think really matters to you. We don't want you to be voting a certain way just because of what we said or how we're voting or what we think of it. We want you to be voting based on what you think, what's important to you. I think the value-focused voting, is a easy, strong way to go about it.
Value-focused voting.
To ensure
like your personal values.
Yeah, personal values. Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
I don't know. I'm sure I'll think of a better way. Quit chewing on your foot.
Well, I did want to bring this up because we've talked about this before when it comes to like our basic civil rights. Oh, little dog munching on his foot. Yeah, he's a weirdo.
He is a weirdo. I think it's so delicious.
Yeah, I know. Is it the blind one?
No.
Okay.
Yodi. He knows what he's doing.
Yeah, he knows what he's doing. He's a weirdo.
He's like nibbling. He's not chewing.
I know. He's so weird, man.
As long
I
as he's
don't
not
get him.
Chewing his foot off. That's all that really
Right.
matters. Like dogs will do that shit. So I just don't want to look down and he has a nub and I'm like, oh fuck.
No, you don't need to worry about that.
That would be bad.
So to bring back real quick, the voting, and we have talked about when it comes to our most fundamental rights.
Yes.
Right. How with each right,
yes,
there is an accompanying responsibility.
Responsibility.
Free
absolutely.
speech. You have the right to free speech, but you also have the responsibility to not lie when you use that. Firearms. Check. Don't kill anybody. That's you shouldn't. Voting. Be informed about what you're fucking voting for.
Right.
Period. And don't take anybody else's word for it. Listen to what everybody has to say and look into things.
And it used to come, just to speak more to your point, it used to be that once you, and it still is, once you register to vote, you're signed up for a lot of elective shit. And in the case of males, once you turn 18 and you register to vote, you're automatically signed up for the selective service when you register to vote.
Oh, yeah.
That's part of what happens. And the same, like I said, to your point, 200 years ago, when you got the right to vote, you also were signed up for the fire service and shit like that communities needed. If you were going to vote, your name was also on this list.
You got to be a part of society.
You're part of the militia. You're part of these other things that are happening that should shit hit the fan. We need you to be on this. And so there were corresponding responsibilities that came with that right to vote. And that's why many people don't like this. But, when there are women's suffrage, there were a lot of women that were opposed at the time to women's suffrage because of the other responsibilities that were coming with that. That they obviously wanted the vote, but they didn't know that they wanted the vote that also came with the responsibilities of fire service. Like I said, is a good example. Things like that, that men don't want to be doing that shit. Women definitely don't want to be doing that shit, especially fucking 200 years ago. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and especially when you think about the fundamental
Buckets
nature
of water
of
and shit.
a right. And it's like, but we also need you to do this.
Right.
Nowadays, we don't necessarily have to worry about that, which is nice.
Different nowadays. Obviously, women want the right to vote. They want all the corresponding responsibilities. And I'm not making any value judgments or anything on anybody at the time. That's just the reality.
It was a very, very,
women's
very
suffrage.
different world.
Yes.
Very, very different world. Unrecognizable.
The women's suffrage movement in America, I should be more specific.
Oh, yes.
Anyway.
Very developing country.
Yes. Let's start. We're going to talk about a lot of stuff today. So we're going to talk about the Bidens. We're going to talk about the tech overlords. We're going to talk about probably Project Veritas a little bit. Probably going to talk about JRE a little bit. Probably.
I may or may not have decided to change my opinion on the presidential vote, by the way. So if you felt like you want to talk about
yes,
that.
we'll start there. We're going to talk about Amy Coney Barrett. She was confirmed since the last time that we were here. Was
in a
voted
very
out
strange
of committee,
way.
and then she was voted. Yeah, super weird. Like overnight, they kept talking, and like it was, it's
Very strange.
the whole thing, and then there's a whole string of tweets being shared on Instagram and shit like that of like, this was an illegitimate process, and
Oh yeah.
you no longer have the right to tell us about moral anything or responsibility for this, or very powerful words from Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer, just fucking
He couldn't be
out
powerful
here
if he tried.
trying to roast Mitch McConnell's fucking nuts. Have you
chest
seen the
nuts
picture
over
of his
the open
black
fire.
hands? Have you seen like the whole
Yes.
thing about his hands?
That's creepy. He's 1,000. It's fine.
He is 1,000.
That's what
And
happens.
I am certain that his soul is being sucked out of the floor everywhere he goes.
This is assuming that he had
Devil
one to
is
begin
like,
with.
Mitch, it's far past your time. You cannot keep this up. And he's like, no, I'm going to keep going. I'm gonna keep going.
It doesn't work with facial hair because of the way
the top lip
his
length that
beaks.
you need. Yeah,
He's an alien. That
maybe-
explains a lot.
It's not good. The whole
That
thing's not
explains a
good.
lot.
So we're gonna talk about all these things. Let's start. What are we talking about? Your vote.
Yeah.
Where you at with the vote?
I
turned my ballot in last week. You still have yours in your hand.
Yeah, they're going in tomorrow.
They fucking better.
They're going.
Tuesday
Dropbox
is the day.
Right there. Is right there.
Yeah, we did ours last week. I went for Joe Jorgensen. Again, I talked about this not because I want Joe Jorgensen necessarily. The thing I want about Joe Jorgensen is fuck the ATF. That's what I want, especially now there's talk about pistol braces and AK braces and shit. That's a whole another thing. Like I said, I don't want to get into that. So my vote, while it was for Joe Jorgensen, is not for her. I'm hoping, again, that the Libertarian Party will be able to capture a large enough portion of the Electoral College vote that neither party can gain dominance, and there will be some form of something. I don't feel confident that will happen. That's my hopeful scenario.
Okay.
There's been a lot of, I don't think it'll happen. She's been campaigning a lot. There's a lot of shit. I'm hoping if I can see at least one state, even an insignificant one that nobody needs, that goes yellow, I'll be like, dear Lord, there's a fucking something. Something's happening. There's so many people disaffected with the traditional parties that I think. But the idea of a third party or any type of real challenger is so ludicrous, and I think if there's so many people that they saw just one thing, not even if they won a state, just when she got more than 1%, where she was like maybe competitive in a small state, where they're like, holy shit, give me one district, give me a district that Joe Jorgensen wins, and that will be enough to start to turn people to that. You know what I'm saying? I'm not even like libertarian. I don't subscribe to a libertarian viewpoint on most things, I'm really trying to force this parliamentary style government idea, and this is the easiest way for me to go about it.
I heard a very principled argument the other day about why that would be a bad idea.
Fuck them. I'll debate them, whoever they were. Fuck them.
Fuck them.
Who was it? It wasn't like one of your coworkers, was it?
No. This was more of like a
like
a legit on a podcast, and it's somebody that I was very surprised to hear that from in a way.
I'd be interested to hear
okay,
it.
yes, I gotta look in to see who it was, but
yeah,
I will say,
I think it would be a good thing.
Oh, and this isn't one of the D- polls, but Jorgensen did poll a 2%. In one of the swayable polls back October 23rd to 26th.
So
got
for
2%
3
on that
days.
one.
Just kidding. Like I said, I'm sure there are people listening and say, you threw away your vote. You're helping Trump win. I don't subscribe to that ideology. I don't believe that. I feel confident enough in what I've done to tell you guys, to tell anybody, that it's
nobody should have any shame for who they vote for.
Yeah, it's not because I am a libertarian. It's because I really would like to see this system not exist the way that it does anymore. And I think this is the easiest, least disruptive way to go about it, would be to take a party that already exists and just expand them so that the other two had to work with them to get things done. That's my hope, and I think it's easier to take a currently existing party than to make a new one and call it the fucking Boogaloo whatever, whatever you want to call it, to try and...
and if we actually had some politicians that were principled, we wouldn't necessarily be talking about the Republicans or Democrats all the time. We'd be talking about the caucuses within them.
Exactly.
And that would be a dream because the system already exists.
Right.
And there's no borders anymore.
You got to sell it to people the right way, you know? But if you don't know what a caucus is and you don't know what like all this shit is, then you're like, bro, what are you talking about? And you're like, I'm telling you though, if you listen, it is literally the same thing with different names and we can already do it. Like we can do it, you know?
We can
do it.
Totally
and
possible.
The big names can stay and nobody needs to be too overly uncomfortable. You just have to set up proper caucuses, you know?
We can get rid of the big parties and all the caucuses become their parties.
That's fine too. I just mean if it's going to happen quick, you got to win boomers and shit, you know, for lack of a better term. And those people are not
turn Florida.
Yeah, and they're not going to be cool with, you know.
No, they may not even
parties.
be
We're going
cool.
to have 9, and then we're going to figure it out. They'll be like, "What?
What?
Communism?
No.
Talking about communism?" No, 9 of them, not one.
9. Communism, there's just one.
9, and they all think different things. That's the best part.
It would be nice.
That's what I'm talking about. 2020, libertarian. Let's shake things up. Let's try and force us something.
Last time we tried to do that, it didn't work out so well.
I told you I don't think it'll work, but it's the only
like
thing
where
I
your
can
heart's
justify morally. Okay.
I like where your heart's at.
Let's talk about you.
So let's talk about
Joe Biden?
No. No.
Oh no.
I'm playing around with the idea of voting against Joe Biden. So fill in the fucking blank and disown me as friends if you all need to. And I haven't decided
Do you
yet.
mind explaining why?
So on the whole, right? Let's take a look at a few things that we know not Trump, but the Trump administration has done. What has the Trump administration done that has been rather unfathomable when you think about how politics has worked over the last few decades, right? And agree with them or not on these things, you can definitely say that nobody else has attempted to do these in any serious fashion in my lifetime.
You're going to list these things, correct? Or
I'm going to list a few things.
Name some of them.
Yeah.
I want a comprehensive essay-style list.
I need receipts
right now.
So let's talk about the Middle East.
2 peace deals in the last 6 months.
And a total of, I think, 2 peace deals and multiple nations that are now recognizing Israel as existing and having the right to exist and normalizing trade relations with them, which is unfucking heard of.
And to your point, relative easiness over OPEC over the last 4 years.
Relatively.
You know,
And I
especially
think
during
that's
the
mostly
Bush
because of
administration. Yeah, and that's certainly part of
Yeah.
America's energy dominance is helping that along. Like during the Bush administration, the fluctuation in gas prices we saw was absurd.
Oh yeah.
And
I bought a new vehicle just because it was too expensive to drive.
Yeah.
Because of the gas price.
So it's nice to see that there's not been, you know, they've gone down more than they've gone up. You know, I haven't any. That's neither here nor there. Excuse me.
Now, I don't want to say no new wars because that's too easy to say because we've only been in one war for a while, right? But
and that's an unfortunate upside.
It is.
Well, we didn't start killing any more people in a new country.
We didn't start any new military incursions.
Certainly.
And that's the first time in however many years.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of people like to think that Biden and Obama didn't do that, but when Biden and Obama came into office, Libya was still a nation state. You know, we didn't have troops in Syria. You know, there was definitely
even if it was ruled under a fascist leader, it was still an actual legitimate proper state where people weren't being bought and sold on a daily basis for fucking pennies on the dollar,
which is what's happening in Libya right
whatever
now.
An American or a person is worth. I don't know what a person is worth.
A person is priceless, and so the minute you put a price on a person, you've done something immorally reprehensible.
But what does the earth cost, Colin?
But what does the earth cost?
Got that? Anybody watch Kanye West? There you go. What does the earth cost?
Dude, it was
not a bad question, but
good.
Super stupid the way that he asked it. But once he explained it more, you're like, okay, I understand what you're getting at.
So on that point.
Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
No, on that point, that was a perfect point. Kanye West on Joe Rogan.
Yes.
I was very happy with his performance, more or less. I had a great I had no idea that Kanye was a dude that I felt like I could like sit and chill with. He always just seemed larger than life.
I want to get high with Kanye West. I want to chill.
I don't know if
West.
I would want Kanye to smoke with me. I would smoke around Kanye.
I want Kanye West to chill.
Chill. Yeah, I don't know if he's capable of that. But anyways, Kanye West is basically, the problem with Kanye West is that he has some good ideas.
Yes.
But he cannot, for the life of himself, try to express those ideas in any sense of a comprehensive fashion.
It's a symphony.
Trump can't do the same thing.
Yes.
But he is the only person that I have heard on a high level like that talking about the dangers of critical theory and the dangers of these far leftist groups that are out there destroying our cities and making them impossible to live. Making it impossible enough so that a far left progressive like Brett Weinstein is now, he fled Olympia to Utopia, Portland, and now is probably going to need to leave probably after the Antifa May takes over for Ted Wheeler.
He also, Donald Trump, most recently took shots at Joe Biden for taking so much money from the establishment.
Joe Biden has been raking it on Wall Street.
Yeah.
Trump might be
his
broke.
Whole life.
His whole life,
we even
bro.
talked about, and this is, I'm going to keep hammering this so nobody forgets, right?
Please.
Because I watched the debate again this morning while I was at work, and it again reminded me that during Joe Biden's town hall, he was saying that part of the problem with politics modern day is that people's their motive is being questioned. Why they're doing something being questioned. Yeah. That's a problem. We shouldn't be doing that. We should question someone's judgment, but not their motive.
Oh,
you know?
Oh, really?
That seems ludicrous to me, especially in a time when, I'm going to say the least, the Biden name has been used by people to gain influence and money around the globe. For that person whose name is Biden to be arguing that we don't need to worry about somebody's motives or their financial connections seems patently ludicrous to me.
Insane.
Absolutely insane.
It seems to make a lot of sense.
Whether or not Joe Biden himself has drawn money from foreign governments, which I personally believe that he has, when you have someone like that arguing that somebody's political motives shouldn't be being questioned in a time where super PACs exist, that seems patently, to say the least,
insane.
Super PACs exist. That's absurd to me.
Absolutely insane.
And the fact that anybody can hear that and forget about it or ignore it or not give a shit and then continue to act like Joe Biden is the candidate for change, again, is patently ludicrous to me. You have somebody
and so is even more distrust.
You have somebody who not a month ago was arguing that we don't need to be questioning somebody's political motives when it comes to who they're affiliated with. And his example, like I said, his example that day was, we want to pass an infrastructure package. Oh, but you're in bed with the concrete industry. We shouldn't be talking about that. That's fucking ludicrous. If there is a senator who's actively trying to pass a bill and they're going to get $1 million from whatever industry they're trying to pass that bill for, we shouldn't know that. That's what he just said. That's what his argument is that we shouldn't know those things. I think that's ludicrous. We should 1,000% know people's political ties, who they're taking money from, what lobbyists they're taking money from, what unions they're taking money from. All of these things are important. I am a proponent of unions on the whole. I think that they're a good thing. They also have enormous fucking political influence in this country, and it's important to know where people's political influence and that money is coming from. And that's the one, if nothing else, the one positive thing nobody could deny about Bernie Sanders is that every time he's run for president in a serious fashion, he has done it with 0 super PACs and only from independent donations.
Yep.
That is the way that the standard we should hold every politician to.
Every
fuck
single
a
person.
super PAC, fuck a corporation. If you want to take money from an individual, that's fine. I don't even care how much money individuals pay to political candidates. I don't give a shit. But
nope.
We need to know that. No anonymous
100%.
Donations, none of this bullshit, none of the nonsense. If you want to give somebody $90 million, do that. But I want everyone to know about it. I want everyone to know that fucking the guy from My Pillow decided to give Donald Trump $90 million. You know what I'm saying? I want to know that shit. I don't care if you do it, but I want to know.
Exactly. And I don't even need to know the specific motivation. I can try to make the connection myself. Right? If I can just know that it's happening. Right. It's the old Robin Williams used to have a line in one of his later in life stand-up specials that he did. He thinks we should turn politics into essentially something like NASCAR.
Right.
Where everybody's got them fucking the advertiser jackets on with all their sponsors. Who
Just
all
not
gave,
a
who did
bad
I get
idea.
this job from? Tagged all
Very
over their
funny,
body.
very satirical. Not a bad idea on the whole.
On the whole.
To carry
Instead
a
of just
list,
one little pin, I want all the pins.
yeah, I want a list on your chest
Yep.
of every company that you're taking money from. So I'm saying,
Yep.
past that, it's I also feel strongly that it's up to us as individuals to like keep tabs on that.
It is.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
If you don't know that your senator is taking money hand over fist from the oil industry while they're working to pass bills that benefit the oil industry, that's kind of your fault. You are doing that, and you're allowing that to continue because every month, every week, they're posting on their website who they're taking money from, how much money they're getting from who, you know.
Oh, yeah.
Whether or not you know the CEO of BP and what his name is, it says on here that he gave this guy, like I said, $90 million. And we know that now, you know. That's, I don't know. And people don't like that, Colin, because it forces work. You have to work harder.
You have to work
I
harder.
would rather have to work harder to understand the honest truth than to be okay with being blind to whatever the fuck is happening and just bitching about it on the back
It's
end.
that whole fucking responsibility thing we keep breaking up.
Yeah.
Like, I hate to say it, but during the Roman Empire, if you wanted to be a citizen, there was certain responsibilities that came with that. And involved owning land, farming land, fighting in the army, like things that you had to do to be a citizen. We, for the most part, if you're a man, you have to sign up for selective services, but in, you know, reality, it doesn't really mean anything in today's modern world, right? So you become an adult, and now you have all these rights. But you don't technically have any responsibilities to do anything with those at all.
Yeah.
You're just a citizen, and you have zero responsibility other than to try to make it.
Right.
And you don't even have to do that if you play your cards right and hit the right things. But, so anyways, get back to why I'm thinking about Tito.
Yes, I'm sorry.
Right? So we talked about the Middle East.
Yes.
We talked about, so here's one that kind of
Talked about the way that he was
plagued my
addressing big politics.
Yep, big politics.
Establishment politics. If
Which,
you will.
and I'm not going to say he's less swampy than the other guys.
No,
he's
'cause
just a different brand.
He came from straight business. Yeah, so he's
Which
just
at
as...
business on his end is...
It's a different pond.
He's a CEO.
Yeah.
Right? It's just... Yeah, it's a different pond. It's
the
rather
algae,
stagnant.
algae from a different pond.
There you
That's
go.
the only... And I think
100%.
that might be...
Just as scummy.
It's like he's getting out of a pond with red algae and going into a pond with green algae.
Yeah.
So, like, it's just so much more obvious that he's dirty because you're like, oh, all this shit and taxes, $750 and all this bullshit. Like, it's all painted in red algae, so it's so much easier to see than all the other people. You have to have fucking Sheldon Whitehouse or whoever, Patrick Leahy sitting up there, fucking the scheme and all the shit that he's doing. So, yeah, no. So
Okay,
go ahead.
So so then
that washes.
Yep. So different type of swampy.
Yep.
And you know, the more time goes on, the more we're understanding what's baked into the cake here.
And I am, just so everyone knows, not to interrupt you again, but just so everyone knows, I'm not sitting over here just looking to like agree with Colin. I'm listening to what you're saying so that I can hopefully poke some holes in what the fuck you're talking about. That's
this
what
is
I'm
highly uncomfortable for
two
me.
things that you brought up as far as Middle East peace. I mean, so
that's
Middle
legit.
East peace. The one thing that I can throw at you is,
I mean, not peas, but
right, Middle
more
East
so.
relations, peace relations, whatever you want to call
it's
it.
not
right?
more of the same fucking military and industrial complex leading the
Yes.
charge. We have more Democratic House and senators wanting to maintain troops in the Middle East. And now all of a sudden, just due to this stance that Trump has taken,
Right.
the Democratic Party now has become the party of war, and the Republican Party, for the most part, has said, nah, we're not really that interested anymore.
Right.
What the fuck happened there?
Yeah.
That's weird.
As far as the Middle East goes, I think the one thing that I could give you would be the killing of Soleimani, which is on the whole not like an overall bad thing.
I don't like the
but
weapons deal with the Saudis. I
the
don't
weapons
like that.
deals with the Saudis is really not good. However,
not good.
that is, I would count that as a point against you, but that is also not an independently Donald Trump thing. He continued that on from. Let's just start with Bush through Obama and now it's Donald Trump. That's not uniquely Trump. I don't agree with it. Neither of us do. We've spoken about it at fucking length here. But again, it's not uniquely Trump.
Yeah, and on the whole, I mean, at that point, one could argue it's like, well, yeah, of course, there's more peace in the Middle East now. Sorry about that. I had a little technical video glitch here, but yeah. So we finished the Saudis and stuff like that. We not big fans of that stuff, right? But again, on the whole, compared to the past presidents of the last few decades. I mean, I see some movement in a positive direction.
Yeah,
we'll say that much.
As far as Middle East on the whole.
On the whole. And I don't know
the moving of the embassy,
that was
that's
big.
also like a big.
Big.
It's a value thing, It's whatever you think is, and we've talked about this before. I have a really hard time picking a place on there. I just don't. I have such a hard time getting away from the feeling that
Israel?
I have such a hard time getting over the feeling of it being overtly religious that I'm like, this has nothing to do with me. Like, this has nothing to do with me or fucking really anybody who doesn't live there. Like, I just don't.
It has something to do with you only in the fact that Israel is essentially the only Western nation in the Middle East, right? And so we're tied because we have ties to the West. We have Western values, if you will. But it is hard because they are a religious nation. I mean, they are a Jewish nation, 100%. And
it's
our nation being, and ours, like some might argue that this is a Christian nation or is founded as a Christian nation or something like that. Not going to go that far because the idea of America as a whole, at least in the contemporary point of view, is that it is a secular society founded under Judeo-Christian values, but like we're not a religious nation state like the nation of Israel, right? But I like the fact that if Israel says their capital is Jerusalem, the U.S. says, word, well, that's where our embassy's at. It just jives and it makes sense. And it's something that the UN or multiple people around the country, I guess, have had like an opportunity to do, and they just keep pushing it on to the next person. Nobody wants to take the hit and actually move the embassy from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem. And I think probably helps to Kushner and Ivanka and stuff. They were like, word, let's move it, do it. Okay. And I thought very highly of that. I have a lot of Jewish friends, if you will. I spent a lot of time in New York City and have a good bond with that community.
Colin polls well with the Jews.
I will one day. I will. Let's put it this way. International agreements that literally are nothing but, let's put it, they're the I-1639s of, deals. They're just symbolic nonsense things that don't necessarily, they don't have any teeth, they don't have any real power, like the Paris Climate Accords. Down with the concept, down with the idea. I would love to live in like some kind of crazy, cool, futuristic green world where everything is just perpetually, energized. That seems super dope. And I'm pretty sure we could probably get there with, enough Elon Musks in the world. But as of right now, like, I don't think necessarily that being a part of that and being committed, because we as a nation tied up in a treaty will meet our end. And then we'll pick up the slack of everyone else who doesn't meet their end. Well, as you could see in the UN and shit, right?
I was just going to say, we've shown that in, like, NATO and shit. As much as everybody likes to bitch about it, I'm not, like, saying I agree with Donald Trump, but as far as numbers go, there were many people that were not paying what the agreed portion was that then increased their pay-ins once Donald Trump was like, excuse me, and fuck y'all.
Here's a little bit of an argument that might help you feel a little bit better about it, right? NATO was founded to do one thing, right? It was to protect Europe from a Russian invasion, essentially.
The North Atlantic Treaty Organization.
Yes.
Just for everybody.
Russia in check after the Soviet Union failed. Now, given the fact that all of these states have to essentially donate to the big fund so that the world can maintain the NATO force and 2%. Keep everybody in check, right? 2% of GDP. Okay. Now, why... Just given the track record of the United States and the massive power that we have, and we definitely fund most of NATO anyways, does that not help cement the United States more as the world's fucking police?
Yeah.
No, get the fuck out of that. I don't want America to be the world's police. Right. So I understand the concept. It's just there's two sides to every coin like this. It's like, well, yeah, but if you defund NATO, then it just opens the door to his buddy Putin. Well, okay, so you want to be the world police. That's what you're arguing to me at that point. You want to be the big dog on campus that can swing your military around in case Russia gets uppity.
Right.
Excuse me?
Because when a small country gets in trouble, it's NATO that goes first, and then other places that go afterwards when they're
That's
like,
the way
okay,
it's
NATO
supposed
can't
to
do it
work.
anymore.
Yeah. But the problem with NATO is it's very, like the UN has a much more broad, you know,
Right.
kind of jurisdiction.
Yeah.
NATO is basically just to keep Russia in
Them
check.
blue hats.
You know, the blue hats that, are going to invade America after the
Ooh.
election. That was a little wild, by the way.
Yes.
So,
Alex Jones, we're referring
just
to.
cutting nonsense. And obviously, you know, he had that kind of general rule right off the bat. For every one regulation we make, we're going to cut 18 or some shit. And I'm not on board with just fundamentally just slashing budgets across the board, right? But overall, if you are going to be removing regulation that hinder economic growth, that hinder prosperity for illegitimate reasons, or let's say the reason is just, but there's no follow through, there's no checking in,
Yeah.
you're wasting money and getting very little out of the return, whatever it is.
And we did see that as far as like the Trump tax cuts go, you know, there was definitely some positive benefit to that as far as job growth, you know, the amount of jobs that were there, corporations, companies were growing. We did not see the return that we wanted as far as wage growth. You know, we didn't see that go as high as we wanted to, which are things that were promised by Donald Trump. You could argue, give it more time. You know
when
what I'm
did
saying?
that come in? When did the
Trump tax cuts were 2018.
Okay. So we had a
'Cause I
solid
filed my
year before
taxes
COVID.
once
Yeah.
under the new
Yeah, save me some money.
So-
That's all I'm gonna say. Save me money.
worse.
Save.
And
I thought my taxes were gonna be about $1,000 more than
yeah,
they were.
a lot of people were super upset. You know, there was the big issue the first time people filed their. So it had to be in the end of 2017 because there was the first time around that everybody freaked
That's
the fuck
right,
out.
that's right.
Because their paychecks went up and they didn't get as much when they filed their taxes. So
That's right.
So it had to be 2017.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yeah, and that's the other
and
thing
that's
too. If
it
you're,
could have been better explained, but that's also logical if you think about America. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But it also wasn't explained.
yeah,
the way
and
that
I'm
it
not
should have
trying
been.
to say either
But-
that like the Trump tax cuts were not definitely a
I'm
hookup to
just-
his homies,
Yeah.
because every time you hook up corporate America, like may not necessarily be a bad thing to hook them up a little bit tax wise, because
Right.
as companies they're going to do different things, but them fucking executives at the top are still going to cut the massive bonus checks and all
Right.
that. But overall,
Then
there
that's-
might be a 60-40 good.
And that's what you're talking about with not having the checks along the way, you know. And
Yeah.
we saw that same thing when the stimulus packages came out. Not putting any guarantees in there that big corporations, executives wouldn't cut themselves checks at the end of the year when all of this is said and done with, you know. And that's, like you said, the same thing happened with tax cuts, that there was no checks, no balances, nothing to guarantee that the money that the corporations were taking in was going to go back to the employees. In some cases, in many cases, maybe not many, I don't know, in some cases we did see that, like big bonuses and shit paid out by companies that maybe the wages didn't go up, the monthly wages, they got fat bonuses. We can speak personally. I know personally, you know what I'm saying, that it positively influenced many places. So
So that's an aspect right there.
Yeah.
On the overall economy, I think he takes a little bit too much credit for the economy that we have, because
but the stock market, Colin.
okay, so I had a very interesting. I went to meet with my boy John. Shout out John from Ed Jones the other day.
Words.
Because I moved offices and all that just to be in a different spot. And but dude, we had this awesome because he's young. He's kind of, I have no idea how young he is. He looks younger than me. I doubt he's younger than
Your
me, but he's
tax guy?
around. Yeah. So well, he's just, you know, whoever you remember
he-
Angie
Yeah.
that used to do everything over there. Well, it's her equivalent, but he's in the Bainbridge office. But he's so plugged in to like what's happening, like on the ground every day in politics and society and the market and everything. Man, we had a great conversation the other day, and we were talking about the difference between the economy and the stock market, right? And even though the economy essentially is shit right now, like it's recovering. We had the report came out for third quarter growth, 33.1% growth in GDP in this quarter compared to last quarter, so that's amazing. But we're also just got the shit kicked out of us. So if you're not getting 33, I don't know what's wrong with you. But the fact that the economy is still shit because of COVID and lockdown restrictions and all this stuff, it's just, I mean, it's about as handicapped as you can be, right?
Yeah.
But the stock market's popping. more or less. Because the stock market basically only deals on one thing, and that's what they think is going to happen in the future.
Speculation.
And because right now speculation
Futures.
is pretty decent. You know, it's like COVID will end at some point.
It will get better eventually.
It will get better eventually.
Yeah.
And right now the GDP numbers are supporting the fact that it is getting better at
keeping
some point.
inflation down and shit.
Yeah. So like, dude, my investments and shit is popping. I'm like up, I think on average probably around 35% for the year.
Because you have actual investments outside of just your retirement, or you're just talking about with just your retirement?
My retirement essentially is a IRA or a
right. We got the
IRA,
same thing. I wasn't sure if you also had purchased stock
like,
outside of that.
Stuff.
Yeah. I'm sure that ours is very similar. You know,
Probably,
we're of the similar.
I'm into like some tech shit. I'm into some futures.
I haven't looked at mine in a long time because there was that while right in the beginning of Corona where everything was tanking, and I was like, I know that it will come back, but I cannot watch this happen. I cannot literally watch my retirement be cut in half.
I am probably.
And I was like, okay, go fuck me, right?
Dude, I'm like 15% above where we started or where I was at before COVID. That's how much the market has bounced.
Maybe I should look at my retirement. Make myself happy.
Yeah, you kind of see this nice little trend. Where's the camera there? It's kind of like, a nice smooth, angles. Like trend kind of upward, and then fucking March, boom.
Yeah.
But then April, May, June, and it's been nothing but rising since then, and I'm well above where I was at the beginning of the year, which is
Does anybody know yet what K-shaped means? K-shaped recovery?
Nobody really knows what K-shaped recovery means. It was, okay, this is definitions. There's a fucking, I forgot to do it during the pre-show.
Uh-oh.
I was going to surprise you with a new segment, kind of like you do every now and again.
Saucy. Saucy this retirement.
Essentially, oh yeah.
Saucy.
Word? You should see them percentages, bro, because they
like
legit,
that.
Right?
I like that. Even just on my little graph.
Does that make any sense? None.
No, because I'm still like,
but
is
dope.
the country gonna fall apart or
right?
Like, what's? I'm fucking rolling with my fucking AR in my truck because I'm like, I don't know. I might be on the way to Collins when everything fucking pops off. Like you never know.
So that's what I'm saying. Like overall, you have to ask yourself. You probably heard this a lot recently. Are you better off today than you were 4 years ago?
God, I know.
I can't not say, yeah, I am. I am better off today than I was 4 years ago. Fuck this house, bro. This was not a thing. That was not a thing last year. We were in the garage last year, and now this is popping. And then I look at the alternative, which is not, I don't need to pontificate on why a Joe Biden presidency. I should say a Joe Biden election and a Harris presidency, because that at some point in 4 to 8 years is a reality.
Definitely an 8. I think definitely an 8.
100%.
I don't think there's no way 8.
And her outspoken influence, I think, is going to be a lot more influential than I think anybody might understand.
Because let me flesh this out with you. Because even under a Biden-Harris presidency, where they're saying, if you make under $400,000, then nothing is going to be any different. Our regular tax rates will not go up, right? But that's just the first part, right?
Yeah, but
if they're talking about the advances in healthcare that they're talking about, creating a public option, expanding that to everybody, right? That's trillions of dollars that we're talking about. That's
the Equality Act is on Biden's in 100-day list.
And
you remember the Equality Act, right?
I remember talking about it.
We might have to if he wins, we'll have to refresh.
Yes,
if not, we can just forget about it.
Yeah, there are definitely, again, not to bring in more gun shit, but as far as gun owners, if you own guns, you are looking at way more taxes, even if just purchasing them. Ammunition, I mean, there are going to be huge...
The honey badger shit that just went down.
Exactly, yeah. There's going to be huge cost increases that come with firearms ownership. If it stays the same way that it does, you know what I'm saying? If nothing else, there will be tax increases on it. If, ownership and stuff doesn't change. So I am hard-pressed to believe at the end of 4 years of a Biden-Harris presidency, I would be bringing home the same amount of money in my weekly paychecks. I'm hard pressed to believe that.
Oh,
You know,
okay.
that like I wouldn't have more money taken out in taxes
Yeah.
at the end of the next 4 years than I do right now.
Oh, yeah.
And
How about the fundamental underpinnings of the
even-
nation state itself?
I
Talking
even
about
paid
packing
$200.
courts.
I pay $200 a month just for Dax's health insurance, and I still feel confident that even with that, I still won't bring, even if I don't pay that $200 a week or a month,
Yeah.
I still feel confident that I won't bring home as much money.
I wouldn't be confident that you would pay $200.
Do you know
I
what I'm
think
saying?
you would pay more.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying.
And you'd be
Yeah.
told where to go.
Even if I got to keep that, I still think that I'll pay more than that in increased taxes, is just as far
Oh,
as
yeah.
health insurance goes. Because I won't. The way that it seems to be laid out, and it's rough, right? Neither candidate has an actual good healthcare plan that's like clear and concise and laid out.
It's because it's not supposed to be covered by the government, but that's all right.
But if that's the case, then I won't just be paying for Dax's health insurance. I'll be paying for mine, Jordan's, and Dax's, which will definitely be more than $200 a month.
Yeah. I
which
mean,
is
you might
not
get one of them family
something I
bonus,
could afford.
family deal type things. You never know what they would have on that.
I can't afford any more than $200 a month for this. That's
For that
you know what I'm
period,
saying?
yeah.
Like because an adult's health insurance is
And I
like
think
twice that in premiums a month. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So if we're talking about, these are just numbers, not to like give everyone a deep dive into my finances, but like, you know what I'm saying? If mine is 400, which is probably more than that, my monthly premium is probably more. We talked about this. I'm lucky enough that my company pays my premium. Jordan has health insurance. Someone else, it's another deal.
They
Anyway,
probably
but
on average, because I've been shopping healthcare plans and stuff for the business, we've been looking at all the things that are out there, and on average, I mean, you anywhere between $400 to $800 per employee.
so let's just call it 4, right?
Yeah.
If we're talking about personal payment,
Yeah.
4 for me, 4 for Jordan, plus 2 for Dax. It's $1,000 a month
yeah.
in straight health insurance.
Oh yeah.
There's
If you had to go
there's
out on the
no
regular
way.
market, man, which it's for me between $600 and $800,
Yeah.
just for me, and for base ass coverage. And I better have $7,000 in the bank that I can drop at the doctor if something happens, because that's what my premium needs to be. Or I mean, what do you call it? Deposit or what? Or the threshold that you got to pay, and then until everything's covered.
The deductible.
Boom. There you go. And I totally missed a point too on one of the reasons to vote for Trump. I totally forgot. Healthcare.
How this podcast has changed.
Right? Well, I thought about kind of springing this on you, because it covers a lot of the election,
Right.
essentially. Because
Right.
that's really what it's all about. And my struggle with this, I think, speaks to
Your
everybody's struggle.
Mein Kampf.
What?
What?
Oh, shit!
Racist. This guy.
That's like some dark shit, dude.
That's a deep pull, though. It's
Fuck.
okay. Apparently,
So,
this
yeah.
is off topic.
What do we got? We got breaking
Apparently-
news?
No, kind of.
Click.
Dax is like just really asking to call me, I guess, like a FaceTime. So
We can FaceTime the little guy.
That's what I
Yeah.
just told her.
Yeah, we can totally do
Yeah,
that.
just go ahead and
Super down. I might remember my other Trump thing by the time the call's over.
That's all right. Yeah. So it is interesting.
This fuck is really important. We were talking about taxes and finances, critical theory. What is the other thing? But either way, here's the call. Just remember to
Hi.
Hi, Dax.
What's up, baby boy? How are you? See just the top of his head.
Yeah, he's got the corner.
He
Baby,
holds
come look.
on to the bottom of. There he is.
Oh, he's giving kids a
He's
mwah.
calling the dog. It's actually
that's-
he's calling the dog. You gonna show me the dog?
Where's Penny? Where's Penny?
Where's my dog at? There she is.
There's Penny.
Upward angle of the dog's face. Is that your belly?
Chewbacca belly.
Brrr. He's like, oh, and we're flipping around.
Hi.
I am like blown away that he knows how to do this.
Oh yeah.
Man, kids are crazy smart.
Do you have a good nappy, my boy?
Make that nappy.
Nappy, nappy. Just woke up from the naps.
Hi.
Look at the smile on his
know.
face, man. He's just
Is it Uncle
press the
Offie?
button.
That's Uncle Offie, that's right.
Hi, Dax.
Hi. You want to say hi to everybody on Salt of the Streets, my boy? Everybody.
Hey.
There he is.
Woo.
Say hi. That's my boy, everybody. Hi. There it is. He's giving some waves. Oh, kisses? Is it time to
Aw.
say goodbye? You know, blow some kisses to the camera? Give us some something?
The ceiling.
He's waving. Oh, there he is.
Start hanging up now.
He decides both when to call and when the call is over. So
Love it.
I get FaceTimes almost daily at work. Yeah,
Oh,
and
that's
they
great.
go, and then he starts to blow kisses, and you're like, okay, I got like 10 seconds. You're like, it's almost over. And then he starts to tap until the red button comes up, and boom, done.
Boom.
Yeah. Okay. So thank you,
fan.
everybody, for tolerating that. That is a guest appearance by Dax Phillips right here.
First time showing the face on the podcast?
No, he's had some. Maybe
When he was super baby.
on the podcast.
Yeah, like being on set and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But pictures and stuff of him for sure.
Yeah, he's right,
Yes.
right there.
So I watched the debate this morning. I only have like 4 things written down about it. So let's go over these things now. And
Oh,
then
yeah.
we can move on to, not that you were supposed to, but just because
Additional
I
things.
watched it. Yeah. So let's see. The first question was about the coronavirus, right? I have problems with this because they both stood there and spat out different statistics.
Right.
And we've talked about this, that it's so difficult to really form an opinion on coronavirus right now because there's so many different statistics that will enforce any opinion regardless of
Yeah. Whatever
where
your
it's at.
bias is,
Yeah,
you can
and
find
so
stats to back it up.
You can hear someone talk about it's a 7% death rate or it's a 0.6% death rate. You know what I'm saying? Like it's any of this shit. So no idea.
Nope. But there
I-
has been a lot more cases now. This supposed second wave is basically upon the world at this point.
And
Europe
I
is getting
just-
hit hard.
I wish that we had more clarity.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? It's unfortunate that so many people were deceptive for so long, and there still continues to be deception because of that.
Yep.
The president included. Obviously, I mean, many members of Congress, many leaders from other countries around the world were just not honest about what was happening when it first happened for many different reasons, whether it was self-preservation in the case of China, right? In the CCP, they're just trying to preserve their own stance in the world. Whether again self-preservation in the way of Donald Trump, right? Whether you're talking about Nancy Pelosi, Chuck Schumer, that are just trying to take shots at Donald Trump. Anybody on the Democrats trying to take shots at Donald Trump. So
That was my other Trump point, by the way.
was
So we could talk
coronavirus.
about that later.
Yeah. The next thing on stage, Biden calls the laptop disinformation. The Hunter Biden laptop that we were talking about last week, right?
Yes.
Hunter Biden somebody dropped Hunter Biden's laptop off at a laptop repair store, computer repair store in Delaware. And then all this information came out, the subsequent, blocking of sharing information on social media. And so on stage, he calls it disinformation. And then he's like, there's 25 previous heads of, intelligence agencies that are saying that it's not legit. Like, that's fine. There's no evidence there. I'm looking at you right now. There is no evidence that this information found on the hard drive is Russian disinformation. There hasn't even been a time where Hunter Biden or Joe Biden has said that information is not real or it doesn't exist.
They have
They're
never
not even
denied it.
They're not denying the existence of this material. They're just saying, well, we can't even, corroborate it because it's disinformation. Like it's not nobody can corroborate it, right? And I thought that was super interesting because in this explanation about this being disinformation, part of the evidence that he uses is the story of the Russian bounties in Afghanistan, which is something we talked about, which is if it's true, which I feel I don't doubt that that's the case because fuck Russia and fuck the soldiers in Afghanistan that are trying to fucking kill Americans, right? Fuck all of them. So I'm not surprised, nor would I doubt that that's happening. But it also reportedly hasn't been able to be 1,000% corroborated through the intelligence community. Why is that a story that we need to run with and pin Trump with till the end of fucking time? But this thing that's pivotal and is like actually really makes a difference in the way that people perceive things and the knowledge we should have, especially from somebody arguing that we don't need to worry about their motives politically, right?
Don't need to worry
seems
about them.
very important for us to know this when it seems odd that in the justification for why we don't need to care about this is another thing that we maybe shouldn't care about, especially if we don't want to care about things that aren't corroborated.
Just Russian disinformation.
That seems weird, right? So
there's, and I listened to it on the way home today when I was listening to Shapiro, and he was actually talking about something about the emails and everything on the laptop.
Yes,
has all officially been verified.
It's
that it's
all
been true.
verified. The
It's all
intelligence
been true.
agencies. The weird thing, right? The other fucking weird thing that I was thinking about earlier this week, because this hard drive was given to the intelligence agencies before, like weeks before it was released to the public that it was known,
It was
right?
like 2019, right?
So Donald Trump, it seems like, had no fucking knowledge of this prior to it being reported, right? Maybe because it's an election time they wouldn't tell him. Maybe because it's election they wouldn't tell him because then he's definitely going to talk about it on Twitter.
Or maybe he didn't read it in the briefing.
Maybe, right?
Could be.
But it also wasn't mentioned anywhere until the New York Post came out about it.
Yes.
Right? Also seems fucking weird considering different leadership, right? But considering what happened in 2016 with the investigation, Hillary Clinton, all of this shit, James Comey's like, BT dubs, don't worry about it. It's all squared away, you know? Christopher Wray is obviously not in line with Donald Trump on like many different lines. One of them being like his classification of Antifa. Total fucking horseshit, right? Now this other time he has this information, this hard drive with all this shit about Joe Biden. Nothing.
I don't know what you're talking
Nobody. About. Right. So these leaks, right? They definitely aren't partisan at all. It's just that the Capitol leaks like a fucking sieve. So I hate it. I hate it because I don't fucking like Donald Trump.
I know.
But it seems so blatant for people to be like, it's just counter. This is so counter. The reality is counter to the narratives being pushed by modern leftist media. It's so obvious. It's frustrating to me.
It's become a parody of itself.
Yes. And so all in this, right? Like I said, it seems weird. The FBI had that no leaks, no fucking nothing from an intelligence agency that has just holes like you took an AR-14 and blasted 90 round clips through. You know what I'm saying? Like that's right. You all get it.
And that's the other thing too is saying now that Hunter Biden's been under active investigation. The case has been open since 2019 under money laundering charges. Or money laundering suspicions. So that's a
super weird, right?
But we don't deserve to know that.
No. And
our tech overlords have decided.
Obviously, I understand there is an air of secrecy within the intelligence agencies. They don't automatically...
As there should be.
Yes, they don't automatically announce when they open up investigations. But I would hope, right, that there would be somebody within the agencies, as we saw in the case of Edward Snowden, that would tell the American public things that they deserve to fucking know, like maybe Joe Biden and his family are corrupt as all balls, and they don't think anybody should be asking about it politically. His political ideology is don't worry about that or where the money's coming from. It doesn't matter because this is the focus on the bill. This is what matters is my judgment, not my intent or why I'm doing it, my motive, my money, nothing. None of that matters.
Just his
what
judgment.
matters, just whether or not this is a good idea.
And his
that's all that matters.
Is piss poor.
So, super frustrating.
I mean, he locked up how many people for ridiculous sentences for nonviolent offenses with his crime bill in the 90s?
He did say that he regretted
it.
Drawing the distinction between crack cocaine and powdered cocaine. So, like, at least there's that.
That's like...
But no shit.
Really?
So
it's like, sorry, that giant shit that I just took on your table has a little corn at the top of it. That's my bad. My bad about that. It's like, don't worry about the pile of shit that I just took bare-assed on right in front of you just to drop it right in front of your face. It's about as offensive as you could be. I'm sorry about the corn kernel on the top.
The next point that I have here is about health insurance, right?
What
They're going back
this?
and forth about how many people are going to lose their health insurance based on the other person's plan, and this is going to happen, and they want us to take away this many people. Can we all, everybody watching, regardless of whether you want socialized medicine, totally privatized, whatever, right?
Whatever.
Can we all agree that it literally doesn't make sense for either party to strip the health insurance from whether it be people with pre-existing conditions or those with private health insurance? Can we all fucking agree that it's probably a pretty ludicrous notion that tens of millions of people would be immediately removed from their health insurance with no alternative, and nobody is going to have anything to say about it? Because the idea to me seems a little far-fetched.
Yeah. That's what happens when you put...
And I'm not, I get, you know,
Well, this
sorry, go
is
ahead.
why when you're talking about stripping the ACA, which more or less Trump is doing, they want
by
that.
piece.
That'll be their big push second term if they do that. That'll be one of the things that they try to do, and hopefully, entitlement reform. Not that I think it'll go the right way. We need to have the conversation, but the government has no business in being in our fucking healthcare system. Period. Much less doing the absolutely most irresponsible thing and keeping the existing private structure intact and regulating them all to hell to follow whatever the fuck they have to do. So at the end of the day, the only thing that the ACA truly actually did was offer a slightly cheaper insurance for certain people. It gave certain people insurance that couldn't afford any, period, which was good. But it jacked the rates up to everyone else.
Yes.
That stayed private.
And that's why we can't afford to fucking. That's why we're
This is
sitting
why
here
we
talking
can't
about
have this
not
shit.
being able to
They've
afford
made
health
it
insurance.
It has gone from a conversation about whether or not the government should provide any health care assistance whatsoever, other than Medicare and Medicaid. Right. Which, at the end of the day, one is a retirement entitlement and one is a low-income entitlement.
Yeah.
That's what those are. They're a part of entitlements. The last time the government got involved in a infrastructure that was as big or as nearly as big as the healthcare industry was colleges. And what happened to tuition?
Yeah.
That's why people have $100,000 fucking dollars coming out of in school debt coming out with a bachelor's degree
And
now.
the teachers suck.
Yes, and public sector unions.
Yeah.
But combine all those things together, you just have one glorious shit show that has now completely shifted the entire public's conversation to about like, well, you know, repeal and replace, right? Repeal and replace. We got that was the conversation originally, but before repeal and replace came along, it was just repeal.
Right.
Like, we just know we want the government back out of healthcare.
Right.
If you guys are going to regulate the healthcare industry, you regulate the insurance companies.
But
right?
now
you
we're
do
too
what you're
far
doing.
in. Yeah.
They got their foot in the door. They're
Too
never
far in.
going to fucking leave anymore. But if we
Right.
have a chance, it's going to be painful to go through.
Right.
But 30, 40 years down the road, it'll be a much better place if the government is not fucking involved in our health insurance program, our health care program. You know, if we decide that we want to stick it out with this bullshit racket we have called insurance, then it is what it is, I guess. But
Yeah.
I don't
Well,
know.
And
It's
similar to
terrible.
the other things that you mentioned, food stamps, Medicare, Medicaid, these things, like it's like you can't take them away. You know, like
Nope.
you're talking about entitlements reform. Like even
Yeah.
if that happens,
My
they're
entitlement
not
reform
not
is-
going to be
roll them all together,
Yeah.
and everybody gets one check.
right. And so those things aren't going to be removed. You know,
No.
like you said, they might change names, they
Yep.
might look a little bit different, but they already exist. They're not
Yeah.
going to,
and
regardless
the programs
of
should not go away.
right.
Because
Regardless
those
of the
people
argument
need the
that,
help, which is why those programs exist to begin with. They're just run by the fucking government, and the government can't run itself out of a fucking paper bag to
Right.
save its life.
regardless of the argument that either side is making, it's especially in regards to entitlements. It's generally the Democrats saying the Republicans want to take your food stamps away. They want to take away your Medicaid. They don't want you to have it. They all want to take it away.
They want everybody to die.
When like one of the biggest examples you can pull from that is fucking Joe Biden
Yep.
talking repeatedly about reforming Social Security and shit like that, right? So it's I would love if everybody, like I said, would take a second and just acknowledge neither party is going to survive stripping healthcare away from tens of millions of Americans.
Not anymore.
On either side. It's not going to happen. It's too late.
It's a
too
reality.
late. Yeah. The
That's where
deed
we're
is way too late now. You
Yep.
can't, to cancel private health insurance without immediately putting everybody on something else is a death sentence for everybody who passes it. Everybody, regardless of what side.
Which
doesn't matter.
At the end of the day,
not a bad thing.
Probably not a bad idea. in death sentence.
But it's a reason why they would never do it.
Yes,
you know?
it is a political career death sentence, which would probably be a good idea for most of them.
Yes, and also the second thing I wrote about this is the lack of talk about preventative medicine will never escape me. Like, I'll never understand why they're not like. Also, we need people to like try harder in their lives to be better at living and being healthy and giving a shit and not just wanting to take 30 fucking prescriptions. But again, that goes along with Donald Trump, who's like, give me all of the pills, and Joe Biden, who's like, I'm sorry, give me all of the money from Big Pharma all of the time. So it's really hard for me to expect that to come from either of those two men.
This is true.
But every time it happens and it doesn't get brought up, I'm like, what the fuck is happening? Oh, right. You're about to be 80 years old, and you are 80 years old, and you both would die if you weren't taking 90 fucking prescriptions a day. If you didn't have Regeneron and whatever made-up shit they fucking pumped into you, you would be dead.
Cocktail of antibodies.
Yep. Donald Trump would be dead. Same thing. Just like Medicare, let's all take a second and agree. If he wasn't president, he would be fucking dead right now after he got coronavirus. The guy's obese. He's extremely unhealthy. If it wasn't for Regeneron and whatever else he took, and then the cocktail that they're like, it's totally experimental. We don't fucking know what's going to happen.
Yep.
If it wasn't for all those things, he'd be fucking dead. He would be fucking dead.
Yeah. Chris Christie spent, 7 days in the ICU?
What I'm saying, Chris Christie, governor, still doesn't have enough shit to, like, not die immediately. Donald Trump, he was like, I was sick for, like, a day. Good. Chris Christie is more obese than Donald Trump is, but I wouldn't argue that he's any less healthy than Donald Trump is. You know what I'm saying? So, fucking weird. The last thing that I wrote down, they're talking about $15 minimum wage, right? We talked about that a little bit with Larry. Ooh, also, Larry just messaged me. He's totally in for the next episode.
Yes!
Squared away. He wants to know what the topic's going to be. So we'll talk about that
Spoiler alert.
before I leave. Yeah. $15 minimum wage, right?
Yep.
Biden was talking about payments to small businesses, payments to corporations, and he was like, we don't need to... Fuck, what was he talking about? I don't remember exactly what he was saying, the context of it, but he then said he called the money being paid to small businesses bailouts. We needed to bail them out. Like, we had to do this. That is just 1,000% mischaracterization of what the fuck happened, right?
We're talking about PPP,
right?
Okay.
Corporations, you bail out a corporation because they're multi-million dollars. If you don't have enough money to fix your mistakes, you have fucked up and you don't get to exist anymore. If you're a small business and you're doing okay and you're trying, like, finally making it, and then we as the government told you that you have to shut the fuck down and can't earn money anymore, and now we have to give you money, that's not a bailout.
Nope.
That's your only actual job as the government. That is literally your only actual job.
You broke it, you bought it.
Make sure people don't die, sustain happiness, protect people's well-being. You already fucked up like 2 of those things. Let's make sure people don't lose their well-being, and we'll be okay.
You got 3 jobs.
It's ludicrous.
You fucked up on 2.
It is crazy to hear him call the PPP program a fucking bailout.
And we bailed out the American people.
When you closed the businesses down, you told them they couldn't make money. It's not a bailout if they're not allowed to make money.
You look good. You look good on there.
Thank you. I don't get it. That's so fucking stupid. You know what I'm saying? Well, it's different. The billions of dollars we gave to Boeing, that's a fucking bailout.
That's a bailout.
You fucked up. You made planes that were broken, and you knew it, and you sold them, and people fucking died.
Yep.
That's your problem. You did that. There is infrastructure, bureaucracy problems within the government that helped this grow to where it's at. You were also like okaying your own planes and still let this happen. It's not like you didn't know that it wasn't supposed to happen. There's fucking jokes within emails in the company that's like, this is such a joke that we have to test this.
Oh,
and
yeah.
Of course we're going to pass it and blah, blah, blah.
And there was there was a whistleblower.
This is not my problem.
It was after the fact. There was like a couple whistleblowers that came out, right? If I remember right, talking about how, and essentially laid the groundwork to be like, okay,
we've been fucking up for a long time.
This is how it's been. Like, the FAA comes in and they just go to our inspectors, be like, all right, so what do we need to do here? What's tell me what I got to put on this piece of paper here.
Yes. So that's a bailout,
That's
right?
a bailout.
Fucking Divine Wines or some shit like that has to get money from the government because they're not allowed to make money. That's not a bailout, dog.
Nope.
That is the government doing its job, its actual function to maintain growth and prosperity. That's it. Help people chase happiness. If you fucked it up, you got to make sure they can still be okay on the back end.
Yep.
That is that's like calling the fucking stimulus checks a bailout. That's ludicrous. Like, you're bailing out the American people.
Yeah, they're going to bail out the American people again.
In all reality, right? You literally have to make these payments so that the government can be bailed out. If there's no money being generated in the economy, it all goes to shit.
It's all gone.
Yeah, so the idea to call it a bailout seems patently ludicrous to me. It's fucking crazy. It's insane.
It's so nonsensical. It's hilarious in a way. But at the same time, it's incredibly... I'm less frustrated with the fact that they say shit like that, right, and get away with it, than I am with the state of, say, media in general and the populace, who it's not that hard to hear that, hear him say that and go, that's not what that is, and actually call them out on their bullshit.
Right.
You know, I don't care who it is that's talking, whether it's Joe Biden or Trump or anybody, but when they fucking lie like that blatantly, and everybody's just like, yep, that's what
The
that's
moderator,
what they did, all right.
The moderator needs to stop him and say, I'm sorry, what bailouts are you talking about?
Yeah.
What bailout
What
for
bailout
small
are you
business? What
talking
do you
about?
mean?
And that would have been
And if
great
he
if that
says-
was a debate. And
If he says, oh, the PP program, you know, the bailouts that we gave to the small businesses,
Yep.
for it to be like, I don't think that's a bailout.
That's
You
not a
know what I'm
bailout.
saying? A bailout, you told them they couldn't make money. Like, what the fuck? I just
Yeah.
don't. Yeah, it's ludicrous to me that, like you said, shit like that's being said, and it's people just don't.
they
they're like,
just roll with it.
like, yeah, it's crazy. The government had to give all these businesses money, like, but it's
Because
not,
business
though.
is the enemy, man.
Yeah.
Businesses are the enemy.
Super
Because everybody's got a
frustrating.
boss, and everybody don't like their boss because their boss makes all the money, and all they do is they just slave away for $15 an hour.
Ooh, USB. When I told you that there was that kid I knew that posted a meme that was the picture of ACB holding that blank notepad, and it said like the list
Oh,
of
yeah.
things, you know, your ununionized company will do for you.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you have to just work for the shittiest company I've ever heard for, because like, what do you, I don't know. Where
and
do you have a job where that's your view?
Let's put it this way: it's not easy for small companies to offer cool benefits.
No.
You go broke doing it, and it's if I could offer my employees the world, I would give them the fucking world, except on the days where they piss me off because they're being stupid or something. But
What if they unionized? Would you guys ship bricks?
If
they're
they
they're like,
unionized?
we're gonna do it. We're gonna join a union.
no, actually, that would probably save me money because to be perfectly honest, because as in my
You heard it here
industry,
first, Collins
Dude.
employees. It's time to unionize.
because I've looked at that like certain, trying to get into certain like state jobs
Like
or
the
something
machinist
like that.
union
Like,
or something.
Like I worked for back when I was an employee, I worked at your old school and shit.
Oh
And
right.
so when you're on there, you're working with basically probably the only non-unionized motherfucker there, right? And they're all making union wages, right? And then I had this conversation, and I was like, so why am I not making those union wages while I'm on this job? And they're like, whoa, well, let me tell you. You want to take a pay cut? I was like, word? Yeah, and apparently for what we did, or what I was doing at the time, like the union salary for that is
Dog
about
shit.
15, which my base employee does not make that little money.
That's
Fresh hire out of high school, I'm going to pay more than that.
like less than minimum wage. I don't understand.
$15 an hour?
Oh, I thought
That's
you
what
meant
I'm saying.
$15,000.
No, $15 an hour.
It's like that's not even like a minimum wage job.
No.
Like that's like a side hustle.
Yeah, and for like any kind of like labor job,
And minimum wage here is like $11.50 or some
Yeah.
shit like that. Like
And
almost
if-
$12.
and if you get into the trades anywhere, our kind of more or less agreed upon minimum wage for new hires and stuff is about 15
If I'm
for pretty
doing-
much in industry wide.
If I'm doing shit like you're doing, I'm worth $15 an hour, humping up in the woods and shit like that. You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah, which is why even like the kids that I hired right out of high school for a few years, like I gave them right off the bat more than 15,
Yeah.
just because they can't. How is my employee supposed to have a place to live and come to work
Right.
unless I at least offer them that much money, as best as you can? But that's why it pisses me off when people start talking about this minimum wage bullshit, because it doesn't make any sense. And people bitch all the time, like, well, my company doesn't offer me anything. It's like, okay, well, if you don't like it, go work for another company.
should
Period.
find a new
Just
job.
go find a new job.
And people hate
Vote
that
with your
argument.
feet.
People hate that.
They
you know
do.
what I'm saying?
Because
But
I don't have to work there.
I feel that that's very valid. That's like, if people are always talking about, this power as a worker. Like, well, my power as a worker, I need to be able to assert this. Then you need to find a job that respects you as a worker. Like, you have to have a job where they give a fuck about you. I've left all of the other jobs that I've had because those jobs didn't give a fuck about me. When I worked at the call center, they did not give a shit. They just needed an ass in the seat taking calls. We need somebody taking calls. What's that? Get on the fucking phones. That's what it is. Yeah. So when I worked in the mattress store, 2 employees.
Get on the phone.
Move that mattress, bitch. Move the mattress. Move this shit. You need to do this. This is illegal, but you need to do this. This is against the rules, but you have to do this because we only have 2 employees, and that's what we have to do. That job didn't give a fuck about me.
Nope.
This job, well, the people suck.
Some people suck.
Some people suck. My bosses give a fuck about me.
Hard, yeah.
They give a fuck about me. The other people, even the people who do suck, give a fuck about me. Those people care about me. The industry matters. The thing that we're doing matters. It sucks. It sucks to find a job that you end up liking. It sucks to get on the way there. You know what I'm saying?
And I will say,
but
on an employer side, like,
that's your power as a worker.
Yeah. And I've had it work in the opposite direction where I was doing what I could for my employee and found a better gig.
Right.
And no hard feelings. I was like, dude, I totally get it. I totally understand. And everyone was civil and happy. We still talk. They got different gigs now, which are pretty sweet. And that we just, at the end of the day, we couldn't offer what someone else could offer. And they voted with their feet.
And even if
and that's fine.
Sometimes that's what you got to do. Like Dave Z talked about that when he was on the podcast, however long ago. That like he worked with Tim and Dan more than once. And the first time he worked there was a good gig. They just weren't making enough money for him to feel confident. So he had to leave and came back X amount of years later when they could offer him what would sustain his lifestyle.
Yep.
And they weren't mad about that. And they just like you were like, I get it. We can only pay this much. So I understand if you need more than that, And there's a difference between your shitty boss telling you, fine, then go fuck yourself, and your boss who, like you, like Tim and Dan, are like, I'm sorry, I wish that I could give you more right now, but as it currently sits, I cannot.
Yep.
And I'm not mad at you for leaving. I'll still have a beer with you. We can still kick it. We can do whatever,
Yep.
And
that's, I have never been in a situation where I have gone to an employer where I thought I deserved more money and had a conversation and essentially asked for a raise and did not get a raise.
Right.
And it's never crossed, I've never had
It's
to
not
cross
that it
that
doesn't
bridge
happen. It
where they
certainly
say,
happens,
like, well, we
but-
can't right now, But at the same time, I don't think a lot of people do that. They just bitch about not making enough money. It's like, well, have you talked to anybody about it? And I know that only works where there's a company where you can go talk to your boss real quick.
Right.
A lot of the corporate structures, a lot of bigger companies, you can't necessarily do that. So I understand that, but I think economically, we all have to remember that at the end of the day, we're still our own people, and we can go. There's other things that you can do. There's other places you can go, whether you think that there is or not. It takes work.
Yeah.
It takes extra work, which sucks, because then you have to put in extra time, essentially, trying to get things done in a side hustle or something, to try to make arrangements, to try to put seeds out there, try to find another place to go so you can have a better thing.
Right.
But you will find a better one, and then you can move on, and you'll be happier.
And it's not like, to that point, it's not like we as individuals have never dealt with this,
Oh, yeah.
I just would hate for anybody to be like, these fucking guys don't know this guy fucking part owns a company and this guy's company does whatever. Like, but I said, I'm young now, but I had shitty jobs up until the point that I got this job. I had terrible jobs. You know what I'm saying? Did you have a job before you enlisted?
Yeah.
Did you work with your dad before you went?
No.
No?
No, my dad wouldn't let me work for him.
Oh.
He wouldn't let occasionally he'd give us like a gig for his company. Go clean up this job site this summer or whatever. But like we never were allowed to go work for his company. He just didn't want us involved in that at all. Go experience other things. So I did. He hooked me up with someone else that he knew.
Yeah.
And then I got in that way. But I did have one experience, I think, recalling it, where I was just talking about where I went into my boss and I need more money, and then they were like, well, and then I actually left.
Yeah.
I went somewhere else. But there was I remember this so bad because I was on a job site and I was working my ass off and it was a shitty day and it was nasty and all this stuff. And I get a call from the office and they're like, oh, hey, so just to let you know, between, the hours that you've been working today and, the paycheck and, and then your health insurance costs, like your paycheck is only like $150 right now. I was like, how am I supposed to pay my rent? I was like, how am I, what are you talking about? I was like, well, the price went up, blah, blah, blah. It was like $900 something now. It's like, whoa. I was like, so I went to try to go make it right and they wouldn't make it right. So then I was like, all right, bye. I was like, I'm not losing money working here now because of the way you people are treating me. I'm out. Done. Peace out. I just remembered that story. I had to tell it.
When I got my job at the mattress store, I left for 50 more cents an hour because I was being just treated poorly at the call center. They had a list they put out every day. It was like a rankings list. You know? So you could see in the whole center, where you ranked at, and then like all your different metrics, all your everything. You could see all the ratings for everything. And so when I got offered that other job at the mattress, like 50 cents more an hour, and I went into the job at the call center, and I was like, but this is it. Like this job really sucks, and I'm gonna go and get this other job. And I was like, it's 50 cents, and they were like, well, we just want to make sure that you're, not, what he said, leaving a bird in the hand for maybe two in the bush, and I was like, okay, well that's like and I feel that, but I'm telling you, like, this job sucks really bad, and and the pay is not worth it enough for me to stay here. And even, I'm telling you, I swear to God, I was a top 50 agent in this call center of over 400 employees at 19 years old.
Not bad. Hustling.
Sucks. Hated to be good at that job. Hated being good at that job, but I was super good at that job. And
that wasn't even one of those like fraudulent places where you like cheating old people out of money and get hella bonuses.
I will admit, because this company doesn't exist anymore, the first like 7 months, Adderall. Terrible for you.
Word.
Don't suggest it. Don't do it. But I got mad good at that job by being highest dick on Adderall all of the time.
Totally,
and then learning the job, and then I was like, I gotta stop taking Adderall all the time. And I like sobered up, but I still had the knowledge and like the skill. I just wasn't quite as fast.
That's why it's so popular in like journalism circles, man.
What I'm saying.
Writers and shit.
Yeah, exactly. One of the things they grade you on is handle time. You know what I'm saying? Like how long you're on each individual call. And if you have to take notes at the end, you have to go into like ACW, after call wait, right? You have to go into a special mode. And if you're in there for more than 30 seconds, they literally start yelling at you. They will stand up from their desk. Get the fuck out of ACW right now. Yeah, they're like, you get more calls. You need to take more phone calls. I swear to God. Yeah, 30 seconds.
So terrible.
And so you had to be taking your notes while you're talking, or else you had to be smacking them at the end of the call. So you had to either be able to focus on more than one thing at once or kill them at the end. So I had like a bunch of stuff on sticky notes, like stock stuff I would copy and paste. Like sticky notes on the computer. Yeah, copy and paste. Yeah, and that's how I did crazy. That shit. Oh, it was horrible. And then so when I went to tell them, they like didn't even offer to match the 50 cents. No, they're just like, well, maybe you should stay. And I'm like, no, 50 cents, like money, anything. And that was my first job, so it was $10.50 an hour. So I was leaving for $11, and they're like, no, don't go. Yeah, no, not even an offer of like 50 cents matching, not even 50 cents.
Don't go.
Yeah. And so that's when I was like, okay, I'm definitely going to go get another job. Like, you guys suck. Yeah.
God, thank God this isn't a socialist nation. It'd be like, oh yeah, don't go. Baseball bat.
Right. Yeah. So that's, God. And that's, I only share that.
I suppose I should have said communist, not socialist, but
I only share that to go along with your story to show that like it's not easy. I was lucky at that point to have secured another job. I had another job and was like, you can either pay me more money, like way more, or I'm gonna go. Yeah. And so sometimes it takes having that time. We're sitting here fucking giving life advice now.
Right.
Who the fuck are we?
How did
Who
that
the
happen?
fuck are we?
Hey,
But
I'm
like,
a successful
like
business
that.
owner, and you're a successful father and blue collar man.
but like that type of leverage sometimes is necessary. You know what I'm saying? To like, if you do enjoy that job, but you need more money, and you think they do have it. What's good? Especially like there was a corporation I was working for. It was not like a mom and pop. You know, I wasn't the only employee. Like there was hell of employees there, and I was like, "What's up with more cash, bitch?"
I'm going to tie this together and make it very relatable to everything. So the reason we're talking about this stuff, right? Because at the end of the day, when it comes to your employment or anything like this, it comes down to self-worth.
Word.
We as citizens, we as voters have self-worth that we should be demanding is recognized from our politicians. And when they get up there and they speak this fucking nonsense, we should tell them to hit the bricks because it's a ridiculous thing to say.
Do you want to know one of the? Sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead. I had a great.
Oh, and this will one of the
a
ways
great
that I knew that this job was a good job for me to have when I interviewed with Tim and Dan. They were like, "Well, like how much money do you think you should be making?"
Like, what do you mean?
Yeah.
I've never been asked that before.
Have any of you ever had a boss ask you how much money you think you should be making? It's a fucking weird question. America, we're not built for that. I didn't know. At 20 years old, I was like, I don't know.
But that's the way
So
it's
I
supposed
make
to work.
this much money now, and I know I should make more than that. But past that, I don't know. Like a dollar amount, I don't know. I don't know how much I should be making before I'm okay with that. You know, no idea. And it's like,
it's much easier when you're older and more established and have like
know your worth,
lifestyles
you know?
and things that you have to do to get by and all that. You're like, well, I know that this is my dollar amount right here.
But then my point with that is to yours that like you should know your worth. Know what you're worth. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
If I was a good worker at both those places, I know that I'm worth good cash.
It's
I know that
your time.
Yeah,
it's your
exactly.
time. And how you
don't ask for ludicrous amounts of money, but
because at the end of the day, you got to
don't
understand
undersell
like,
yourself. Self-assessment tool and like a interview tactic. You know what I'm saying? So they can try and gauge how much you think you're worth. You know what I'm saying? Do you think you're not that good of a worker, so you're going to not ask for that much money, or do you think that you're way too good of a worker, so you're going to ask for way too much money?
And I think that might have been. I'm pretty sure they asked me that. I probably ask everybody that. I'm sure. And I was like, well, I'm making it. Like, well, I didn't ask how much you're making now. How much do you think you're worth? I was like, well, at least that. They're like, okay, we'll accept that answer. We understand. Everybody gets weird about that.
Yes.
But
we're
totally
not made
remember
for that shit.
No.
Yeah.
Which is sad.
But it's important, I think, for people to know that shit.
So I have a great segue topic that we can hit real quick to get into polls.
Yes.
Right. The first thing you brought up from that was the town hall, essentially, that you were watching.
This was the debate. No,
okay.
this was, I rewatched the last debate that we did the live stream for.
Okay.
And so these were things I pulled from the debate.
The number one thing that's probably going to be on everyone's mind as far as voting goes, right?
Yes.
At this point, over half of the electorate supposedly has voted already, so let's hope it's been on their mind. COVID.
Yes.
Right? And more focused on the way the candidates would handle COVID here on out, or in Donald Trump's case, how he has handled COVID, right? So where are you at with whose COVID plan would be better than the others? And I have to laugh because you know exactly what that means when I say that.
Right. I mean,
does anybody say anything about what to do about COVID or just COVID in general that sways you to one side or the other more?
Think they're both generally saying the same thing. One of them is because they're both talking about investing money in schools. We need to give money to the schools so they can figure out how to open up. Whether they're talking about them opening up now or opening up next year, they're both saying the schools need money so they can figure out how to do what they're going to do. Right? They are both saying that a new stimulus plan needs to be passed through, so that one of them saying so the companies can be bailed out, and the other one is saying so that we can replenish PPP and do that shit, send out the checks, get it going, right? Past that,
you see the letters between Nancy and Mnuchin?
No.
Oh, that's been fun. We'll talk about that a little later.
Past that, One of them is saying this guy wants to close everything down, and the other one's saying this guy wants you to be sick and die. Regardless of who wants what to close down, the president never closed anything down other than travel from in and out of the United States. We've seen in Michigan some of these shutdown orders starting to get ruled as unconstitutional. So even if there is, like, this second wave is huge, I don't think that shit's going to be happening like it did last time, because the more cases like that in Michigan that get ruled as unconstitutional, that's going to be used as precedent in other states. And even though, like in Washington, for example, a lot of this shit has been found to be constitutional here.
Yeah.
And now that may change, you know, I don't know what's different about the constitutions, the state constitutions. I don't know what's different about the laws, the lawsuits, the interpretations. I have no idea.
Because it goes pretty deep. Because most of them are based off of legislation they have as it pertains to like emergency situations and stuff.
And I'm not a lawyer. I've got no fucking idea. But I know that the more that happens, the more precedent they have to build on that this is unconstitutional. And the more that it happens, the more likelihood one of those cases reaches the Supreme Court. In which case there will be a nationalized, you cannot do this, or these are the things you can do.
In which case.
And in which case those things will likely be carried out. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because as much as
the government tends to be a hammer that sees a lot of nails that need pounding.
Yeah. And some of, I am sure, because I don't know. I'm not a doctor. Even some doctors don't know.
We're not life coaches. We're not doctors. We're not. We've covered a lot.
We're going to tell you all the things we are not. I'm not a doctor. I am certain that some of these lockdown measures helped protect some people, right? I don't know if it's masks. I don't know what it was, but I'm certain that some of these things helped at least a little bit.
Overall, you hinder people's interacting with each other.
Because we talked about if nobody died, 2.2 million, or if nobody did anything, 2.2 million is the projected amount of people that were going to die.
Yeah.
We haven't lost that many people. So it obviously helped at least a little bit, right? I don't know what it was. I don't know what part of it. I don't think it was telling people not to go to work, because I've been working this entire time. And that's one small example, but there's many other people, industries throughout the state that maintained work just fine with PPE and everything was okay. So I'm thinking it's probably more the PPE and social distancing that helped people out. But
that, and the fact that when the 2.2 million number was floated, we still had no concept of truly what we were dealing with yet. And that was part of the massive problem at the beginning, is because of who it was taking out first and where it was striking. It looked really scary.
Yeah.
Really scary.
Well, especially the more clusters you can draw to like particular events and shit like that. It's obvious that a bunch of people getting in a small confined area is probably not a good idea.
Yeah.
Right? That seems like it's obvious at this point. And so
if they're all young and they're all healthy and they're all up to their fucking 4,000 IUs a day, vitamin D, you know, if they could all get it and they could all be asymptomatic, but at the same time, now you potentially become spreaders for everywhere else.
However, we haven't seen, you know, gas stations, shit like that. Businesses that remained open did not seem to be a huge spreader of the virus. You know what I'm saying? So there seems to be, if we look at things objectively, for all the cameras.
Can't
even
wait
though
that's going to be the new thumbnail.
If we look at it that way, then we can kind of deduce some shit that will help people come a second wave, right? And I think those are the things that would end up being upheld in the courts. You know, at that point,
essentially, it's just wearing masks and not being around a lot of people.
Yes. At that point, they're going to have doctors in there testifying and all kinds of different shit, professional witnesses inside of the courts. You know, they're testifying up to the Supreme Court.
Yeah.
So
that'd be super interesting.
Exactly.
So let's hope ACB gets her way and gets some cameras in the courts, man. That'd be dope.
They're going to definitively find out as much as they can what helped and what didn't. And those things are going to be upheld, you know, on a national level. And then I would imagine they would be implemented on a national level.
Yeah.
You know, some type of Trumpian shit that Joe Biden would do, because all this is kind of under a assumed Joe Biden presidency, where all these things are still trying to be implemented, and in which case he would say either, you know, do these things or you don't get dollars from whatever thing, which is exactly what Donald Trump did earlier in this year, in which all the Democrats freaked the fuck out, you know, which is fine. But I imagine it won't happen if Joe Biden says that.
They'll be like, oh, okay, word.
That's just me. So,
I mean, look at L.A., man. L.A. and California in general, probably the most intense.
I don't think forcing people inside their homes was a good idea.
No.
And so I don't think.
But my point being, like, they in that state more or less lean a particular way, and they are not necessarily complaining too much about it.
I was only saying that to try and finally answer your question. That not to cut you off, because certainly you can extend more, but I had said a lot of shit, and now like actually answering your question, I would have to go. As seriously as he didn't take it in the beginning, I would have to go with Donald Trump, because the likelihood of things being closed down seems less likely, which I think is probably better in the long run. I also don't think it matters who's president as far as a stimulus package goes, right? I don't think that really matters. I think that even if Joe Biden is there, whatever Republicans exist in Congress still are, fuck you, we're not doing it. Whatever it is, we're not doing it, because we'll have lost some ground. It'll be a dangerous time for Republicans, and they will be hanging on to every inch of ground that they have in whatever House of Congress exists still in their favor. So
I feel like they would be essentially desperate and be like, well, obviously we need to vote for this. Or it doesn't matter that we say no.
There are already Republicans saying they don't want to do it. So I don't think that it, and they're like, especially not now. Now we think that $1.8 trillion is a waste of money. We definitely think $5 trillion is a waste of money, because if Joe Biden's in office and the Democrats gain any type of ground within the House or the Senate, they have all the more bargaining power to double, triple, make the price tag on it whatever they want, which is, I'm not arguing is necessarily, like I said, at this point, the numbers are so high that fucking do it. Just fix the goddamn problem.
Whatever.
You know what I'm saying? And that's a very unclassical liberal answer to that. But I'm like,
when we've spent how
modern
how
economy
many
is so crazy
already.
Just fix it. Just good God.
It's modern monetary theory,
Give
but
the
with
people
extra
money
steps.
so they don't die and don't kill everybody.
And see, okay, let's talk about stimulus checks real quick.
Just send the checks. Good God, just send the checks.
So they're still bickering about another payment of $1,200, right? $1,200.
Make it more and send the checks.
Okay, I think you need to go back to your first. Whenever lockdowns first started, you need to backdate that shit.
Yeah.
Because people, $1,200 is spit in their hand. That's fine. That's cool. That's gonna help me do.
That's a piss on you until it's raining.
I've already lost my house.
Definitely helps, right? Because it's so dry outside that it's raining.
I owe $45,000 in back rent. Your $1,200 check, this is gonna cover me. Doesn't even cover me 1 month's rent.
No.
Now I'm still fucking kicked out of my house. Except now I got some fuck you money in my hand. Sweet. Like it's at this point I don't even know what we're talking about anymore. Because the people that are getting by are getting by, and the people that aren't.
Well, especially if things,
and they haven't been. Like
you said, this second wave is coming on, right? So especially if things get worse again, and there's going to be more shutdowns, there's going to be people. This week,
Colin, is not good.
Was the first week where I walked into work and I was like, "Give me all the work." Give me all of it.
All of it.
It's all because it was just every day
the
stack was replenishing. You know what I'm saying? The days when you walked in, you're like, I can literally work as much as I want.
Yep.
This was the first time since probably February that I've been able to walk in and been like, thank God. Thank God that I can work as much as I want. Drew can work as much as he wants. Casey, everybody in here, all these cutters could all work 60 hours a week. There'll still be a little stack there at the end and we'll still be cool. This was the first time. That's like Febs, bro. Since Febs. And if shit starts closing down again, it's going right back down. All of our work is completely dependent on other places around the country and around the world being open, taking clients, taking measurements, and ordering things. That's just in case anybody doesn't know, we make neoprene orthotics. I mean, we're making splints for people, medical splints. So if people aren't going into the office to order things, then they aren't sending in orders, and we aren't making things. So
it's all connected.
I am just now at the point where I'm like, okay, like I don't need money from the government. But there was period of time where I'm like, I don't. Somebody's got to do something because I'm getting fucked from one side and they're not saying shit, and it's not this person's responsibility to fix this when these are the people that fucked it up.
Yeah.
You know, no good. So
No good.
I'm very scared for what happens if there isn't. Because if Donald Trump gets into office, I'm very nervous that there isn't going to be another stimulus package very soon. You know, they keep. I don't know why the election is like their thing. They keep talking about like, well, we'll just wait. You know, Nancy Pelosi's like, we'll just wait. We're not doing it because it's not legit. But if this is the precedent that she's already set, then how long until she is finally time? You know, if Donald Trump does win, then how much longer will this continue to go on?
See if
like,
I can find her. I don't know if she.
By their own argument,
Twitter.
people are dying. You know, people are dying. They're losing their houses, and they're still blaming Donald Trump. So once he's in office, then whose fault is it? If he's back in office, then whose fault is it? Is it Donald Trump's? Because he's still
Donald
sitting
Trump's
there,
fault.
still waiting. It's like, I'm still here. There's still nothing going through the Senate. I don't know how this is my fault. Where's this?
Still
right?
is.
You know, and we've talked about this. I'm not blaming Nancy Pelosi in part. It's just this last round of discussion that you could really be like, bitch, pass the bill.
Yep.
Every other time, it's been totally bipartisan blame of like, y'all are all fucking up here.
Yeah, I don't know
this
why.
Last time when the Republicans are like, dear God, we'll do it. 1.8, just fine, we'll do it. And she's like, nope, fuck you.
No, we need 5.
Yep, more.
We need 5.
More,
we need this.
Fuck you. Exactly. So,
and literally to not even have. I mean, the stones to just be like, all right, we will do a standalone pay the people bill. How about that?
Because the infrastructure is already there. Like, it will take less time this time than it did the first time. Because
repeat.
Done. We're going to restart the 4-phase cycle or whatever right now. And it's tomorrow. A bunch of people are going to have money. And then the week after that, a bunch more people are going to have money.
And how do you... Wolf... We feed them.
We feed them.
We feed them. They are our people. We understand them. No, you fucking don't. You lying.
But do you feed them?
See you next Tuesday.
Because we feed them.
Because we feed them.
Yeah. So let's talk about some polls.
Yes.
Now that we've talked about the potential, some futures that we see on either side, let's talk about the polls.
So currently, there are a couple good ways to kind of get a decent idea of what's going on here with the polls. The Guardian has a decent spread, which is essentially just a amalgamation of all the polls as they come in, when they come in. You can go to dates, and in fact,
You're gonna put that up on the screen?
I am indeed going to put that up on the screen.
Word.
I got to.
Are those dots all individual polls?
Yes, they are.
Wow.
So we're going to go ahead and pull that up on OBS so we can see that. I'm going to go zoom in for the people there.
They're seeing it right now.
Yep. So these are different
individual state polls.
These are our battleground states.
And
so
who are these polls done by? These are done by the Guardian.
Multiple people. The Guardian just presented them.
Okay.
So over here, we had a Monmouth University poll the 27th of October. Trump 46,
and
Biden
so
50.
These state polls are an amalgamation of all the different polls.
Over the timeline.
Wow.
Some different ones, and then you have essentially the average of those that comes out in the main line.
Yeah.
So, Pennsylvania.
So let's go to the top real quick and let's see where.
So this is.
No, I mean at the top because that shows like a general look at.
Oh, the main one. That's definitely.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
Screwed up when I zoomed in. So the national polls. So this is where we're at here. I guess I better scooch over. Can I scooch?
Maybe just zoom out a little bit.
Yeah.
Sorry, guys. We're figuring it out here.
I'm no young Jamie. COVID free, by the way. Holy ads.
There we go. Okay, so we have Biden at 51% and Trump at 43%.
Yeah, and that's the average in whatever averaging they're doing. What the fuck is this thing? Go away. God,
yeah.
I hate the internet.
Ass ads.
Here we go. Check this out. Copy. Open up the Brave browser. May take a second. So yeah, and it goes all the way back to when they, when they first started doing polls and stuff like that.
Wow.
And so this is Biden essentially is leading by 8.5 points according to them on a national level. The battleground states,
shitload of points, bro.
Yes, battleground states. I mean, it looks like Biden. Florida, Biden plus 1.9, which is, a lot of these around 3 to 4% generally in most of them. It's different in each state and how the different polls are going.
Yeah,
and how you combine them.
2%
but there's a
just for
I would say there's a thing called the margin of error.
Yes.
Right, and that's most of those are within a margin of error.
And what I was going to say is 2% is kind of the number that people go with for 2016. Like that's, Donald Trump was under by 2 points. That's what it was going into the elections. It was 2 points.
And then Nate Silver's 538 model essentially does a different thing, which I could pull up. I'll pull that one up next.
And so we're not, again, we talked about this kind of in the pre-show. You go ahead and pull up whatever, I'll riff and shit. We talked about this in the pre-show and maybe in the beginning of this show, that we are not telling anybody that this is how it's going to go.
No.
What we are telling you is that of the people being polled, and these polls individually will almost all tell you, like, we polled X amount of people that are Democrats, X amount of people that are Republicans, and X amount of people that are independents. And so you can, and they weigh for that, and then you can weigh for that and, like, go on how much you trust it and whatever. This is simply one tool that you can use to try and get an idea. 2016, everybody's heard it if you've listened to anything political over the last few months. 2016 has shown us you cannot believe the polls. You cannot, at least not 100%. You cannot trust that they are correct, because we've shown as a country that we lie to pollsters, or the pollsters are very specific about who they speak to, and it directly influences the results.
And along with that too, I will say this: as far as the polling goes, this particular election cycle, this is going to be a make or break for a lot of these companies because of how. And I don't want to say they got it wrong in 2016, right? Because I think what might be happening here is a new paradigm shift in elections and voting and the electorate and all that good stuff. Like I think this whole paradigm shift might have just taken place where old ways of polling just don't essentially reflect what the populace is going to do anymore.
One of the neighbors was saying that same thing.
It might be totally different. Yeah. And when Nate Silver, his 538 modeling is basically that kind of the golden standard almost, and I forget
which is
where
funny
he has
because
it.
He was hella wrong last time.
Well, and it's the exact same spread this time, and I don't remember exactly where it was, but they do this breakdown where they show how many chances out of 100 the model shows somebody winning, right? And that is not the same as like a 49 to 50 poll, 51 poll or something like that. That is essentially the model runs the scenario 100 times, and then it says, okay, out of 100 times, Joe Biden right now is winning 89% of the time, and Trump is only 11%.
2020, baby.
It was about
it's 2020, baby.
And that was about the exact same thing that they gave Hillary Clinton on her way in.
And what I have to say is it's 2020.
And that's why I can't shake the feeling that
if there was ever a time for supposedly unanswerable polls to be completely wrong, would it not be 2020?
Hard, yeah.
This has been
it would only make sense.
Potentially the most fucked up year in modern American history.
Hard, yeah.
So, I mean, 9/11, 2001 was fucked up.
Yes, it was.
As a whole, 2020 might have it.
I think by far.
You know what I'm saying?
I mean, even by the numbers.
So it's really not good.
Yeah.
What is and who
this
is
another
this
poll.
Real Clear Politics. Okay.
Let's take. You want to take a quick break again, or do you want to roll through this?
Let's keep doing it.
Okay, because I'm gonna pee again.
Oh,
that's what I'm saying. So I can.
I'll talk about this for a second. Go ahead.
Real quick.
Yeah, no, you're quick. Okay, so this is the Real Clear Politics poll. Oh my goodness, Yodi. Okay, and they have Joe Biden up 7.9 points, which is Yodi. It's okay. Which is about where the other one had him. That was The Guardian. And like Colin was saying, The Guardian was the compilation, if you will, of all of the polls, which is pretty cool that they're doing that. The Guardian, while left-leaning, is a pretty good news source. I'm just not sure that I buy that 7.9%, That seems like, I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. I feel comfortable, I don't know. I'm not that stupid, bro.
Well,
I like
you're
I
not that
I
stupid,
just
bro.
I'm trying to sit here and first of all start 900 sentences. But I'm sitting here trying to think like I don't know, man. I just don't buy that 7.9%. And I'm like, well, if that's what it's saying, like I haven't been in politics that long. Maybe I don't know, you know. But then I'm like, no. Over the last 3 years, there's been a bunch of shit that I've been right about. Fuck that. This is not right. I don't think that, and I'm not like, no, Donald Trump can't lose. I'm not upset about it. I don't.
8 points is.
But I don't buy that. I don't think
Yeah.
that is accurate. I
So let
agree
me
with
put
you
this up
very
here.
much. I feel very strongly in my gut that Donald Trump will win the election. Let's make our calls right now. What do you think? 2020, come Tuesday, people are voting. Let's call it 10 days. Hopefully it's less than 10 days that we know. If so many people have voted already, I would hope that it doesn't take 10 days.
When it comes to the Electoral College, there will be specific states that if certain people win that state or not, we'll know essentially that's where it's at.
It's
Florida. If Trump loses Florida, he ain't winning.
Yeah.
That would be my guess at this point. But at this point, my gut says Trump. My gut says Trump. The polling is what the polling is, and it's reflecting whatever it's reflecting. I don't know if it truly represents the national average. There's so many different
that's what it
reasons
says.
that people may or may not vote one way or the other. I mean, if I had to put money on it, I'd take a gamble. I would feel like it's a gamble if I vote for Trump, but I think I'd put it on there. I'd put my money on it. And I may or may not be voting for that arrogant fuckstick just to prevent what the fallout from what a Biden presidency would fucking mean, you know?
Yeah.
The
And that's
That's what terrifies me,
At the
man.
risk of being made out to be a racist in modern day America, I feel more
Here we go.
concerned for my personal way of life under a Joe Biden presidency than I do under a Donald Trump presidency. And it's not because I'm like a white supremacist or like any of this shit. It's because Joe Biden is talking about doing things that directly impact my life. He's talking about causing people, and again, I'm just going to start here so we can move past it quickly. He's talking about forcing people to either register or turn in their AR-15, something I feel is deeply, deeply, foundationally unconstitutional. I'm very, very concerned about that. I'm also very concerned about the social position that would put this country in if that were to happen. I am very concerned about healthcare. I can't personally afford to pay that much money for health insurance for everybody in my family. I don't make that much money to be able to sustain our life as the only income earner and for our life to be able to stay that way, even in the fortunate housing position that we find ourselves in. When the individual mandate was overturned, I was unhappy about it. My wife now turns 26 in February, and I'm saved by the fact that we don't have an individual mandate now, and I will not be penalized on my taxes because that money helps a lot when we file our taxes every year. And the idea that we would be penalized, whatever it is, simply because we can't afford health insurance for my wife is deeply concerning to me.
Yep.
So I'm not foundationally... We have spoken many times on this show. When Obamacare was enacted, I was happy, and I thought that it would be a good thing if people tried. And when we started this show, I was still mad that people didn't try, and that's why it didn't work. And I still feel that way, that if people had done what I feel is your responsibility as an American and done what you were supposed to fucking do, it would have been okay. I understand why people didn't. I don't blame anybody for it. I get it. But this is where we're at now. You know, this is where we are. That no longer works. It's not that it can't be fixed. It's not that it can't be repaired. As it sits now, it doesn't work. And it's saving people that they aren't forced to either pay way too much money for health insurance or be penalized on their taxes.
Yeah.
I'm very concerned about the way that this will impact everyday Americans that they don't consider. You know, there are many people now that I think don't consider that they aren't getting a tax penalty for not having health insurance. There are
Because
many
it was
people
a lot.
our
I paid
age,
it for multiple years.
There are many people our age that don't have health insurance if they don't get it through their work. And while they bitch about it on a regular basis, they won't pay for it through the state because it's too expensive. And
I'd go broke.
again, they are lucky that on whatever minimal amount they're able to get in their tax return, probably a little bit more because of the Trump tax cuts. If they did their taxes, their withholdings correctly, right? They're potentially getting
As long as
more.
they did it correctly.
They did it correctly.
If you're not, go see Larry
then
Dixon.
they're not having that taken from them in the form of a tax penalty. I don't think people are considering that. You know what I'm saying? I think that all the people who went and storm bought guns since January are not considering what it would look like to be twice as hard as it was this time to purchase a firearm, or to not be able to get one at all when you really, really feel like you need it. And I can tell
That'd be
everybody
real
here,
interesting to see what like the general
people
consensus
don't
numbers
consider
are
it.
now
They don't consider it.
on how many more, I want to say pro-gun people, but like how many more pro-gun people there are now after COVID.
And not
Because there
even-
were so many people that, I don't know how many times people ask me about how to do it. I said, well, it's very simple. It just takes some time. What do you mean time? I don't have time. World's falling apart. Well, you probably should have looked into this a little bit
nowadays,
before, huh?
it's like a month.
Yeah.
It's fuck your 10 days. It's like a month.
Oh, dude, yeah, a buddy of mine just bought. I feel bad. It's a steal on a gun, right? And it's a gun, but it's also a high point.
Oh,
It was $180
wow.
for a nice pistol
There's this really
that may or
great-
may not stovepipe on you every other shot, but I don't know.
There's a really great video that Grand Thumb did where he took a high point and like a Glock 19 and ran him through the same torture
that's
test.
sad.
It's awesome. He puts on a lab coat, so he's dressed like a doctor, and and because that's all that a doctor wears, a fucking lab coat. But he at one point throws the guns at a rock, and it's a fucking huge boulder. It's bigger than him. It's a massive rock, and maybe it's not bigger than him. It's a fucking huge rock either way, right? Just so people are like, this guy's full of shit. So he looks at the camera and says, for science, and he fucking throws these guns at the rock, bro. Just hucks them. So it's just this guy in a white lab coat just slamming a Glock and a high. Oh, good.
That's how you know it's science, bro.
It's a great video. We should watch it before I go. It's a great video. Totally worth it. Anyway, yeah.
I'd pull it, but we get kicked off YouTube at this
Right.
point. Shit.
There are many people who I feel don't consider the way that while these things sound nice, again, it's easy to not be able to see the real life ramifications of what is happening, just like, because we're talking about gun laws, just like we did with 1639. Until I really felt like I needed an AR-15, and I'll defend that to anybody at any time, right? But until I felt like I needed that, I didn't feel like it was a problem. You know what I'm saying? And I think that there are a lot of people, not all of them, because many people are still uncomfortable with firearms, which I think is a bad idea to own one and be uncomfortable with them. But there are going to be many people who buy it, use it, get accustomed to it, and then want more. They want more F-15s. They want shotguns. They want all kinds of stuff. They learn about stuff. And these things are going to not make sense. They're going to be voting potentially for somebody that is trying to, ruin something that they don't know that they want yet. You know?
Oh, that's a good point.
And it's not, guns is not the only example of that, you know?
Oh, no.
So I'm concerned about the daily impact to people's lives that a Joe Biden presidency would have than a Donald Trump presidency would have. So socially, it's going to be fucking crazy no matter what.
Yeah.
I think it might be crazier if Donald Trump wins. People are going to really lose their shit.
Yes.
If Donald Trump wins again.
Yes.
Like, really lose their shit.
I see violence on the streets regardless of who wins.
Yeah.
Because the people necessarily now that are out rioting in Philly over the last few days, like they're not going to not riot if Joe Biden's president, right? Most of the elements that have caused all the violence to date from basically in 2020, we'll just say it, all the Antifa groups or the BLM protests that turned riotous, all those things, like those aren't going to change if Biden's president. Like an amount of those people will still be doing the same thing.
Yeah.
Right. But if Trump gets reelected, I think that you could probably see violence tenfold.
Yeah.
if I had to put my money on it.
Especially because I don't think that the groups will vary that much, right? Like, if Donald Trump wins, it might start as... You're going to see... how am I trying to say this? There's going to be different groups of people, right? If Donald Trump wins, you're going to have way more people that are like innocent people, moms and shit like that, housewives, people that are like just genuinely upset because of things that they believe because of whatever reason, right? Whatever misunderstanding they have, of what the reality of the country is.
Yes.
And in response to that, plus all of the Antifa, all of the other bullshit that's happening, like
all
you're
the COVID
talking
tension,
about,
all
that
this pent up tension
is still going to happen. And in response to the COVID Antifa shit that you're talking about, you're going to see those same dudes who've already been out protecting businesses and shit, but now they feel more emboldened, you know what I'm saying? Trump 2020, bitch.
Well,
and so
the heat will be...
But if Joe Biden wins, then a lot of those same dudes that were out protecting businesses and shit are going to be out protesting and shit, and they're going to be protesting. And I don't think they will go out and cause problems. I think they will protest. There will be counter protests that turn into terrible shit because the people who were out protecting businesses,
the old Proud Boys meets Antifa situations.
Those guys are going to be out with their rifles again because they're going to be telling Joe Biden, "Come and take it, bitch." You know what I'm saying?
It's
and
one group goes out for a demonstration, and then a counter group goes out to counter demonstrate,
which is similar to what happened now. I'm not saying that's not what happened now, but it's what will happen the next time. But in this time, the protesters will have guns, and the counter protesters will also likely have guns because they know who they're going to meet. So
soup cans ain't gonna do it.
Do you know what I'm saying? And we have already seen in Kenosha and shit like that. We've seen some protesters, some people starting to carry guns. I watched a fucking video from the Washington Post that was total dog shit about militias in Utah, and they interviewed like an Antifa guy who was like supposedly a 2A advocate, and he's really a gun advocate, not a 2A advocate, and
Antifa and guns is not a good
telling
mix.
people that they need to start arming themselves and shit and all this, and so I don't, the more and more and more that happens, shit's gonna escalate. We saw it in Portland, the Trump guy that got shot, and then that
we see more and
that
more
Antifa
like
guy
Trump,
was like
Trump
doing
parades
interviews
and stuff,
with Vice and shit. Like, I shot that guy, and then he got killed by the cops, and then Donald Trump is like, they shot his ass, and so some people think it's like a hit job. Like, supposedly the cops pulled up, and like 15 seconds later, the guy's fucking dead. So I don't know. He's probably strapped, so I don't know. I'm not justifying the police killing anybody. I watched a video resurface for me the other day of, remember a couple years ago, there was like the cattle dispute happening in Oregon.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then one of those guys got killed by the cops,
Yep.
And he was driving with his family, and the cops were following him, and like somebody started to shoot into the vehicle, and so he got out and, like had a gun in his pocket and whatever, and then like got shot by the cops. And I remember the first time that I saw him, I'm like, "You stupid motherfucker, fucking gun in your hand, blah, blah, blah." And I'm like, these pig-ass bitches. And so I'm shocked. I'm personally shocked by my own
hard 180.
By my own shift in view of, like, I spoke to someone about that and was like, no, like, this justified, like, this guy's doing this shit and blah blah blah, and I don't.
The magic of guns, man. You get one and your whole perspective changes.
While I don't agree with his cause, I don't agree that the police should be fucking killing anybody unless they need to save their own goddamn lives. So it's a weird world that we're living in, Colin.
I'm not a big fan these days.
Are people still looking at this?
Nope.
Oh, okay.
No, they're just regular.
I wasn't
I
sure.
just have it over here.
No,
so
that's okay. I just wasn't sure.
I would say the one ballot thing we didn't go to, the voting thing, was just the percentage numbers statewide, man. Over 60% of the ballots in the state have already been received.
That's what's up, though. I mean, if I had to choose people voting or not voting, I would choose that they vote. I would hope that they would be informed about what they're... Honey, I love you. I love you. Go lay down. She's like, I love you guys so much.
So much.
She's so sweet. I would hope that people would be informed about their votes, but I would rather not rather, but I'll take people just voting.
There you go.
I'll take it. I'll take it.
There you go.
I'll take it.
So
Look at that. Walcocum County, 3,400.
Whatcom County?
No. Walcocum.
Oh yeah.
Oh, Waukegan.
Waukegan.
I thought the I was an L.
Yeah, me too for a second.
3,461 votes. Is that what that is?
Yeah, that's total, and they've received 2,100 of
That's how many registered voters they have?
them. It's not many.
Oh, my God. But they got 61%.
Yeah,
That's
so
what's up?
They got 61% in. There just ain't that many people there.
Yeah.
That's wild.
Statewide.
Oh yeah, and this is the other thing.
We got like 7 million people and only like 4.8 registered voters.
Yeah. Oh yeah, how
I
many
got
people in
kids and
America?
shit.
We had like 180 or 170,000 or 170 million or something last year.
Yeah.
No. Yeah, we had like roughly less than half the population that voted in 2016.
Bitches, dude.
So we have 4.8
million
roughly,
registered
right?
voters.
Now, the vast majority
3
of
million
people,
ballots received. Damn, bro.
1.4 million in King County.
Good Lord.
And then our other lovely one, Snohomish County, 500,000, and Pierce
Thurston.
County, 500,000.
Yeah. And then Spokane County.
Those are hard
Wow,
blue
bro.
counties, baby. Hard blue counties, and they make up 49% or over 50%
What's
of the state
Kitsap?
population.
Let's look at Kitsap real quick.
Kitsap, 189 point.
Damn.
Yeah,
Look at it,
189,000.
62%.
Yep. I mean, we're firing on all cylinders, man. Jefferson County, our neighbors to the west over here, they got 73.9% of the vote
County
in.
was 70%.
Pacific County, that's
Do you remember when you asked me, how many counties do we have? And I was like, I don't know, like 12?
yeah, 12. No, buckle in. We had to look it up.
Yeah. Way more than 12.
So many. Okay,
So we both think that Donald Trump is going to win. Is that what we're...
my mind's telling me no, but my soul. Yeah, that's logically, objectively. I go nah, but I can't shake it. If
I don't like it.
Yeah, if we were putting $20 down, I'd say Trump.
I don't like it.
So, unless you have anything else, I would like to propose one small little segment here. And I think
What's
it'll
up?
be a little bit of fun. You know how
Here, we got time.
on the NPR Politics podcast they have that little segment towards the end? They call it, the thing you can't let go of, right?
Yeah.
Well, we're gonna change this up. What's that? I want to know. Over the past 2 weeks, there has been a hill to die on. What has been your hill to die on in the last 2 weeks? And I can start with mine if you would like.
Yeah, you go ahead.
My hill to die on over this past 2 weeks might have stemmed from right before the 2 week period, but it really is. I'm on this one. Is definitions. The definitions of words and terms that we have historically used for a long time. During the Amy Coney Barrett hearing, when our lovely Senator of Hawaii, Mazie Hirono, decided to insert that the term sexual preference was an offensive slur, which then she spouted 3 or 4 times in a row.
Yeah.
And then Merriam-Webster's dictionary decided to update their dictionary, and down a little thing it says offensive now.
And I heard that live. I listened to it
Right.
live. I watched it, and
It
I heard that, and I was like,
I can't stand
I wonder if that's real. So because I literally did not know that. Like it's like I'm 25 years
like
old,
a new slur.
and I've never ever heard that even one time.
Yeah.
Like I know that people don't really use that phrase anymore, but I've
Nope.
never heard that it was offensive.
Nope.
So I just know that. I don't know. It's just like it's almost outdated, but
Yeah.
not like I wouldn't say that it's offensive. It's
Right.
just an older phrase.
And so that was one that really got me, and then the big one that is just it's been bothering me for a long time, and now I can't do it anymore. The science. We need to follow the science. The science this, the science that, the science that. Okay.
Yeah.
So the definition of science, right? There's multiple good science, bad science, right? For good science, you need there's like 7 of these things. Where's my phone at? Some core principles, right, of what makes up makes up science. Like, it's not based on authority. So it's not just somebody coming down on high and saying this is the way it is. It's testable, it's repeatable, it's universal, it's measurable and observable, and it's narrowly focused. That is fucking science.
Yeah.
What we are all arguing about, we're with the science, you're not fucking science.
Yeah.
It's data. You're talking about data and statistics. Data is not fucking science.
Information.
And if we forget that words have fucking meaning, like the left is they're so fond of reminding us that words hurt people and words of violence. Words also mean shit when you say them. And when you say science and you float it out there that our COVID response is based on science, the only science that's going on is breaking down and looking at what makes up this virus and what may or may not attack it and kill it and prevent it from spreading and blah, blah, blah. Like, there's science to be done there. What we're all talking about, what we're all arguing about is statistics and data. We're not arguing about fucking science. We're talking about data and which perspective we should be looking at the data and what answers we should be pulling away from that. I'm fucking dying on this hill this week, Donovan, because it's driving me insane. We're bastardizing science, and I'm not okay with it. The last time that happened, say the last few times it's happened around the world, really, really bad things have happened. So essentially everywhere communism has been tried. That's usually where it starts. Because the first people to die are always the intelligentsia. It's the fucking doctors and the scientists and the professors, and then they all go away because the authority decides what's right and what's wrong. We can't do that. We can't afford to do that, especially right now.
Yeah.
Because if President Kamala Harris gets in the chair and her fucking pen and her phone, next thing you know, we're all going to be in jail and we're all going to be doing slave labor to fucking fight wildfires and shit. Being paid 2 cents an hour or whatever the fuck she pays them. So, if you had a hill that you were going to die on over the last 2 weeks, what would it have been?
Bring Alex Jones back to YouTube.
Censorship.
Nope.
Okay, just
Alex Jones.
bring Alex Jones back.
Yep. Censorship in general, we can talk about that after this, but specifically relating to it's a dog running into shit. So funny.
Dude, he does
funny.
that. He's got to have so much brain damage by now. Poor guy.
Specifically, Alex Jones.
Word.
He is not. Alex Jones is a crazy person.
He is,
but he's not insane.
No.
Do you know what I'm saying? And I hit you up this week after listening to Alex Jones and told you that.
Did you watch it or listen to it the first time?
I watched it.
Yeah, me too.
That I told you that I've never felt more vindicated in my whole life.
Right.
And that is in regards to. Do you remember us talking about that?
Yes, because this was the Nebraska case, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. In Omaha, when Brandon was here, when Brandon Guerrero was here, we talked about like Pizzagate in general and all this different information that we had found, you know. And you, understandably, I'm not throwing shade, you know, when we would talk about those documents, you were like, I don't fucking know. You know what I'm saying? Like,
and then I watched those films and things.
And then we watched the film, and still, you know what I'm saying? We're still like, I don't know. I don't know. And maybe Alex Jones doesn't do it for you, and I get it if it doesn't. But for me personally, to hear two different people in that room corroborate information and provide more context and more information to it, I just was like, that's it. Like, I'm not a crazy person. Alex Jones is not fucking insane. He's crazy. He's
crazy.
Fucked up.
He's not
jaded.
insane.
He's been through so much shit that there on some shit he's confused. But the man is tapped into information.
Yep.
And if you're able to pick it apart and decipher it, there is validity in some of these claims.
Yeah.
And
he's been right more than he's been wrong.
And it is troubling to me that you have Alex Jones saying like, yeah, no, QAnon is on some weird shit. You know, like they have some shit right, but they're also losing focus because they're so focused on this shit.
Yeah. I was very surprised to hear
about that. When Alex Jones is like, QAnon is on some shit, bring Alex Jones back to YouTube. That's the hill that I'll die on, because everyone should be able to see that, if for no other reason than to be like, this guy's crazy, and then 4 years later be like, oh my dear God, I remember when he talked about this, and then it happened. And when you have Alex Jones, the same thing as talking about QAnon, when you have Alex Jones saying QAnon is off because all of this child abduction and child sexual abuse is happening, and no one's talking about it, But for some reason, that's not what the focus is, right? And QAnon could be doing a good thing if they focused on the child abduction that's actually happening. And again, we talked about it. I'm not saying there is absolutely elite involvement, right? Absolutely, unquestionably. So I'm not saying that isn't happening, but I think that probably the easiest way to start to get there is pay attention to the children being abducted and found in homes.
It's been
every week tens
during
at
COVID.
a time,
Dude.
What the fuck?
There has been more stories that have come out about that and then just summarily
completely disappeared.
About massive raids where these massive child trafficking operations that are going all across the country.
Propaganda. That's not propaganda. This is really happening.
Super real.
The fact that it's not a bigger deal is absurd.
It's not real.
It's just, it gets shoved in with this thing that, oh, Alex Jones is talking about that. QAnon's talking about that shit.
And I'll
That's
say,
crazy.
to the depths of the elite involvement, if the mainstream press would cover these abductions, you'd be able to flush out who and who is not attached to it. You might be getting scapegoats or whatever, but to not run the stories for days at a time.
Yeah.
Chris Hansen,
a dozen guys in a day.
In a day.
Yeah.
He couldn't catch them fast enough.
Yes.
What the fuck?
He had to go back and do another thing, like Hansen Investigates or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah. After.
Sorry, man. It's too easy to catch these people, man. People aren't interested. Ratings are down. Got to start a new show.
So it's like you said, it's not like you can't do it.
No.
There are actual police groups that are like, we're doing it, we're finding them, like we're
all
fucking
the time,
all of the time. On Project Underground Railroad, that's a private company. Like they're like a 501c3. It's a charity that is actively working to save children and humans from child trafficking and enslavement. And I don't understand why
is that not every single ad playing on YouTube?
What the fuck?
Why is it not on every television every single night? You know, even the old school. I seriously doubt they do it now, but it was like back in the old days, at like 8 o'clock or something like that. I'd be like, the time is now 8 o'clock. Where are your kids?
Okay.
Word. You remember those old school?
Yeah.
It may not have been exactly what I said, but
who the fuck are your kids talking to?
Ooh, yeah.
Who are your children talking to?
Exactly.
Go look on your kid's phone right now.
Right now.
It's 8:34. Go check. It's random time. They're not going to know what's happening. Sometime in between 8 and 9 o'clock. Random, whatever the most popular TV hour is when there needs to randomly be, just like you said,
prime time.
On like all 13 of the basic cable channels. Hey, stop. Go look at your kid's phone right now.
Yep.
If there isn't something educational on there, fucking put it away. Take it, put it somewhere else. They don't need it for an hour. Do something with it. Who is your child talking to? Probably an adult pretending to be a child. Just, not probably. But,
no, hopefully not probably, but
potentially.
Possibly.
Potentially.
The potential certainly exists.
It's like, I mean, the Social Dilemma movie, right?
Yes.
All of those people being interviewed that were currently or used to work for tech companies were all like, oh, my kid doesn't have a phone. And they don't have social media until they're in high school.
Yep.
We don't play that shit. So
I know what it does to
what
people.
The fuck?
I built it.
Like, I don't get it. It's absurd.
It's like, why are we so dumb?
There's a notable.
But let's all get out and vote. Sorry.
There's a noticeable difference in Dax's behavior if there's a TV on and if there's no TV on. It's pretty astounding.
I believe it.
It's weird how much your brain is not made to work with that, you know?
Yeah.
It's not good.
It's very strange.
So that's it. That's my
like
hill to
it.
die on. Bring back Alex Jones. Hashtag bring back Alex Jones. If we weren't banned before, we're banned now. We're done.
There was that faux controversy after his episode came out.
Oh my God! Yes.
Yeah, some issues
Technical
on Spotify.
issues.
Yeah, I think the Spotify probably just can't handle the traffic that he's bringing, dude. Hundreds of millions of downloads per day. Are you insane? Probably the most powerful voice on the face of the planet.
I wanted to.
And we just Alex Jones, Kanye West.
I wanted to say that Joe Rogan was my spirit animal, but I don't know that I could have
machine,
that much, like, that much potential influence and that many consistent listeners and still be like, I don't know what you're talking about. I don't think, I just couldn't, like, not that I'm not like a humble guy, but the amount of humility that comes from Joe Rogan is like unparalleled to anybody else on the planet. You know what I'm saying? Because now everybody in the world knows he has at least $100 million. At least.
Oh, of course he does.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
We didn't know for sure before, but now we all know he has at least $100 million now.
Yep.
For sure. So
I got some investments, bro. We got to talk now.
yeah, he's like, I'm going to buy a ranch. I'm going to start a comedy club.
Yeah.
I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this.
That's
I got
called
this
fuck
new,
you money.
This new studio. It's all right. I think I'm going to build another one, but I really can't find a building that I like. So,
Yep.
yeah.
Yeah, I think...
But I just couldn't. That's not an honest answer, Joe.
It's not like I thought about that too. I was like, oh yeah, because I fucking love Joe, and I wish I was Joe. You know, just
but it
his
wouldn't
concept.
be wouldn't be true.
No, because I'm not that. The dude is hardcore as fuck, and I think it's not like when he talks about his humble thing. You know how he gets super weird whenever people talk about it and all this stuff. Like you could see his face. He literally, it's not that not like he doesn't recognize it, but
like
he just
doesn't want it.
purposely doesn't think about it. He
Yeah.
tries not to think about it at all, period, because that would fuck with anybody.
To the point that he was saying, like, he only posts on social media. He was like, I don't
Yeah.
even look at shit anymore.
Yep.
Really. Like,
No,
I
he's
don't,
got to
like,
cut himself off.
Yeah.
I can't
just
think about
only
it.
post things.
Yep.
That's it.
Like his little, I can't remember who he was talking with. Might have been Glenn Greenwald. Talking about his Instagram apology that he made. He's like, he didn't even know what he said or how he said it or anything like that. It was Jamie had told him, hey man, people pissed off and it looks like this might not be a thing. But yeah, I think I've been trying to think real hard and I can't land on anybody.
I noticed how enormous Joe Rogan's arms were
They're
during
massive.
one of the last podcasts, and I was like,
So you trying to flex?
I'm not even close to. Well, I'm not flexing right now, just so everyone's not like, this guy's got like little bitch arms. But
And I meant the
outside
proverbial
is
flex
not,
on,
like,
you know.
That's not, especially in camera. There's not a lot. I'm not gonna. This is
The resolution
I don't know why I'm doing
the
this.
resolution
This
is bad. Don't you know?
This is not what we're here. This is really inappropriate. What the fuck are you doing to me? What are you getting me into? I hate you.
I don't know. I brought up Joe Rogan. Apparently, you stare at his muscles all the time. That's
you-
kind of where we're at.
Do you remember? It's okay if you don't. When DK Metcalf got drafted by the Seahawks, he met with Pete Carroll afterwards. As you do. And DK Metcalf, he's fucking just yoked out to the tits, and he walked into the interview with his shirt off, I'm pretty sure. And Pete Carroll took his shirt off.
Yeah, I remember
That
that.
was really funny.
I remember that.
Yeah, that was really funny.
So
I
is
like Pete Carroll.
Me too. Is that you want to die on a hill again next episode?
Yeah, I like that. That's not bad.
Seemed legit.
Yeah, we'll talk to Larry about that too. I told him we want to talk
yeah.
about the debate for sure.
So is it time for SPORTS?
I'm trying to. I think the last thing I want to touch on the big tech stuff real quick.
Oh, yes.
Just quickly. It's not. We don't even really need to dive deep into it. Because I was really close for this to being the hill that I was going to die on, but it was a little bit too big of an idea. It's concerning to me that people on all sides of the political spectrum are unable to notice a slippery slope when they're standing on the edge of it.
Because both of them seem to right now.
And censoring people's opinions at all. The fact that there's any question about whether or not free speech is conducive to like modern America is deeply concerning to me. It's not only concerning to me and my constitutional values, but in what I would like to do as a career for the rest of my life. You know what I'm saying? Is like own this business with you. So it's
and that might be something that potentially we could watch slip away at some point, and given the right series of political moves to change rules on speech, like we might not be able to do something like this without self-censoring.
Well, and the fact that you have any senator at all, let alone, and I'm going to pick on Amy Klobuchar, right? Just because she was a lawyer before she was a senator, right?
I expect more from her.
The fact that you have anybody, any senator at all, who is not just saying any infringement on free speech is an offense to all of us, regardless of whether or not I believe in what this person has said, regardless of whether or not I agree with this, to infringe on anybody's First Amendment rights is indefensible.
Period.
The fact that that's not what all of them said is disgusting,
Yep.
right? It's gross. Everybody had their own political shots. Even Ted Cruz was going on about his thing, not letting people answer. You know, he's fucking ripping into Jack about who elected you and blah, blah, blah. And, so the Washington Journal, you know, or the New York Post fucking really, they just can't access their account. And Jack, well, again, whether or not I agree with him, is like, well, no, they have to take down the original tweet and then they can post the same thing now, but because that was blocked when we had that old...
you got to delete it.
I understand there is probably a way that they could change that. Most likely there is a way. Jack is also like, fuck you. All you have to do is take it down and put it back up, which is, I mean, a win of the smallest variety on his side, because like I said, you can literally post the exact same thing right now. So it's only just that we even got you to take it down, right? Not because you can do it again. You can say it. You can, and I don't.
And it's probably just because of what the fallout would happen, right?
Certainly.
You know, and now it's just one of those like, well, no, technically, like you can't do it because like you literally have to take it down and then repost it. Now you're good.
I did,
but he seemed, because I only caught some clips of it this morning.
Yeah.
But just Jack overall kind of seemed in this general, you can go fuck yourself mood.
Yes.
Throughout the whole thing.
He said he was like, we agree that like blocking people from even DMing it was probably a bad idea. Yeah, no, but he was like transparency. It's like, that's all. That's it. We just need to be more transparent. Like, can't tell you what we're gonna do or why we're gonna do it, but I'm telling you that we just need to be more transparent, which is bullshit. You know, the guy from Google, Sundar Pichai, he tries to say absolutely as little as possible. He's like, I am trying to not talk at all.
Google is not Twitter or Facebook. They're a little bit more dialed in.
Surprisingly enough, Mark Zuckerberg, I really think recognizes he's out of his own. I agree with Jack that we need to be more transparent. He's like, but we might need to be regulated. Like, it's regulation might be a thing. Like, I don't know what to, you know, when you have the robot that's like, you gotta do something about what we're doing. I was watching him, and the amount of time that he just, Senator,
look at the camera. Look at the camera.
Oh no. He said, he's like, Senator, thank you for that question, and then goes on with it. It's not good. It's really not good. Yeah, and he's
definitely. Did he make any weird water sips again?
No, because he's in his own house.
Oh, that's true.
So you can only see him part of. So he might, but you can only see him part of the time.
I wonder what his fucking
it
house
almost
looks like.
Looked like a fake background.
Oh, it's got to be. He's got a studio
was
in there.
Like almost looked like he was just on his phone.
He probably was. He's probably streaming via Twitter.
And then there was like a window behind him. And then Sundar Pichai was in an office. I think it was like bookshelf or something behind him. But yeah, I was surprised to hear that there wasn't consensus between all of them of like, well, this is what we think should happen. I guess I just assumed that on the sneak they would have got together and like, let's figure out like a strategy of what. But apparently they're all like, go fuck yourselves. We're gonna. So I did not.
That's interesting.
I try and keep out of the tech world. You know what I'm saying? It's not my shit. All this, what you have to deal with this year,
infuriating.
Not me.
Some days.
It's not. I appreciate you to no end, and I'll never figure out what I can do to repay you. I don't know.
You just keep showing up.
Every time this happens, I'm like, I feel bad. Like I don't like. There's nothing. I don't know what to do to assist with this.
My weekend just keeps getting.
And that's why I'm like, I know why. Why do I
might need to go to the woods tomorrow and just devote 14 hours on Sunday to editing because I'm going to need
I'll go like on a hike with you if you have like a, you know what I'm saying? Oh, tomorrow's Halloween, so I got a spot.
Yeah, I'll be out in the woods and steering clear of as many kids as possible because I don't want to. This is my first Halloween in the new house, so I don't know what the neighborhood's going to be like. I'm hoping.
Turn your light off. Just have your porch light off.
I'm just going to shut everything off.
Yeah, there should be no concern.
They can come a knocking, but I don't care.
Yeah.
But hopefully, I mean, if I go out hunting, I won't be back till after dark anyways.
Yeah.
What was I going to say? Oh, yeah, I'm really interested because, you know, where we live and the political signs that are on particular lawns.
Yeah.
I'm wondering if that has anything to do with who will will and won't be out trick or treating.
Yeah.
That night we have a community center and stuff, so I imagine they're probably doing something down there,
We're
like
also-
a drive
let's-
through the park area
Yeah.
and do or
Shit,
something
let's
like
talk
that.
about this for a second, right? Because like the mayors, you know, have said like it's probably not a good idea to be Chloe.
Chloe,
Will you lay down, Mama? I know.
lay down.
Lay down.
Crazy dog.
Yeah, the individual mayors have kind of said like you maybe shouldn't be doing Halloween stuff, and you know don't be getting together, and trick or treating is a bad idea, and you know like I told you, I talked to the guys at work about it, and I was like I'm not trying to like sound like a douchebag or anything. I was like I'm not really in the business of like allowing, especially local legislators, local
You cannot tell me what
executive
to
officials tell me what I should or shouldn't or can and cannot do with my son. I'm a fucking grown man, and I will do whatever I damn well please with my family. It's like, and I'm not trying to like posture. I'm not like I'm fucking so tough. I'm like, but that's the fucking mayor of Bremerton. I don't give a fuck. I don't care about what you're saying. You are the mayor of Bremerton.
I can handle my own safety. And
I don't give a shit.
I can be responsible enough to let me have my freedom.
Yes.
I am responsible enough to take appropriate action. You have
Yes.
informed me about the dangers, whatever the fuck, and I know how to mitigate against that because, you know, old Fouch dog told me how to do it.
Our actions are far more dictated, like you said, by the way that other people are conducting themselves.
Yeah.
And Shane said it the best. Shout out Shane. Said by how other people feel like they need to protect themselves. You know what I'm saying? Whatever they feel like they need to do for themselves, which is totally fine. So we are going to go.
That's like the stance I take with all my friends and stuff too.
Yeah.
Is like whatever level they're on, COVID wise, whatever.
Right.
That's cool. I'll
Yep.
hook you up because it's
Yeah, Jake and Morgan and shit. I've always been, you know, like whatever you know, with all his shit, he's all compromised and whatnot. So, like, whatever you feel is the best. You know, whether or not you wanted to call him out by name, I'm doing it. I'm bringing you in, Jakey. We love you.
J Balls.
J Balls.
I don't know. That's the first time I've ever said that in my whole life. I don't know
awesome.
why that came out. It was supposed to be like a Case Balls, but
That's
Jace Balls. And I just
so we're gonna go to people's houses that we know. You know, he's also like Dax is kind of shy around new people. You know, like for a few minutes anyway.
Yeah.
So I don't know that he would really like going to random people's houses to like knock on doors.
Might
and
be a little scary. And
I don't know that
traumatic.
he would get it. Yeah. So
But I
think-
traumatize him now because then he will never want to do it again, and that is a win-win
then
for
it's
both
all
of you.
done. But I think he would be super jazzed to go to someone's house and knock on the door, and then like for you to be there. Something, you know what I'm saying? Like we're not going to come out here to your house.
It's a kind of a
It's
trek.
too far. But just for instance, to like go to my mom's apartment, you know, and like fucking be like, oh my god, it's my grandma, you know, to go to Jordan's parents' house. Oh my god, it's my grandma. Shit like that. So so I think that he'll
would be
enjoy
super
that.
cool.
We're gonna go to Tracy's house. He fucking loves Tracy.
Yeah.
He'll come into
Tracy has a thing with kids, man.
Yes.
Kids
Yes.
love him.
He's
so
he's
good.
got all
at-
those
well,
kids himself, and but Dax will come into work. Tracy will always give him a snack, you know, like some goldfish or some something, and he, you know, so
He's
Dax
always good with
will.
the kids.
And he's got like his people inside of Bennick that he like gives knuckles to. You know what I'm saying? He walks around and gives daps. So he fucking loves Tyler. So he walks in and fucking looks over to Tyler. Like, give me a hug again. He looks up at Tyler. So goes and gives Tyler. Casey, he'll go to the rest of the boys. Fucking Kyle and Shane loves Kyle and Shane. So he goes and fucking bullshits with them. He'll go to Tim's office, give Tim some nugs. Tim will give him like a water bottle with like a straw in it. So he'll fucking walk back out with his water, you know?
That's awesome.
And Tracy will give him a snack, and then he'll give him nugs, and he'll be like, and like explode himself, like not just like blow it up. He'll like fucking pretend to fall and shit. And so Dax is just like, just thinks it's just the greatest thing in the world. So he'll stand there and dap Tracy for like 10 minutes straight. It's awesome. It's really
so
funny.
cool.
Yeah. Tracy's great. So he even like Dax was really shy around Spencer for a long time. Was not sure about Spencer. And then on one day, Spencer was like standing at the heat press, and Dax was like, all right, what's up? Yeah, what's up?
I
What's up
accept
with it?
you finally.
It's very interesting, you know. And then he'll go into the front and like talk to some of the ladies. There's a new girl, Elizabeth, because Rebecca
Dip.
That's her boyfriend. That's very personal. I'll tell you later. Rebecca took some time off, so there's a girl that's working there named Elizabeth. He thinks Elizabeth is super cute because it took him 2 months before he would like talk to her and not just turn away and like tuck his head in between our legs or something. And so now he'll walk into her cubicle, you know, and he'll like stand there and look at her and then like like give her some nugs and kind of laugh and giggle. He'll go in there like talk about his boots, you know. It's really cute.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, he's got his whole routine at Bennick, you know. I have like a box of those fucking Nature Valley bars that's like at my table, so he'll walk in, pulls that shit down, grabs one out, and he's like, open it up. Just give me the snack bar, bitch.
Give him.
Yeah.
Give him me.
He knows where everything is.
Absolutely.
So, now, unless you have anything else to add, Tech Overlords, I don't know how the fuck we started talking about this.
Just a little bit.
Oh, we were
from
talking
the
about
hearings and
Halloween.
stuff,
We were talking about
Halloween.
we were just talking about
Yeah, we
Halloween.
were just moving on.
Yeah. So sports. Right here. So I fucking lost again last week like an asshole.
I saw that.
To Casey by 2 points, like a bitch. Yeah, super pissed.
Yeah, it was a little rough.
Yeah, so I am fucking 5-2 now, and I'm playing Cody this week. Cody's 6-1. For him and I were the last two undefeated teams until
Oh shit!
that.
We had some
A
Thursday
little
games.
20-point lead ski.
Interesting.
Give that a click. Let's see it.
I was like, yeah, I'm not used to navigating on the website. I'm not sure where
website's
to
cool.
go.
Yeah. Are people
yeah.
seeing this now? I'm gonna say, show them your fantasy, bro.
Boom. Now they are.
Yeah.
All
You
right.
playing
box
Morgan this
scores.
week?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Colin is the murder ballers.
Yeah, I
You
had
can
to
see
change
it.
it up, and I'm
Yeah.
5-2 now. First
Bro, you
In
and
the
I have
division?
the same.
in the division.
Damn. Bro, you fought your way back, my G.
Bro, it has been.
That was a daps for Colin.
It has been a thing.
Last year you were getting your ass beat.
Oh,
This
last
is
year was
the-
rough, dude.
That's the concerner, bro.
That is the concern.
Russ is the concerner. Cleveland has been terrible and Josh Jacobs has been great, so that's unfortunate. Pretty much if Russ has a good day, DK is going to have a good day.
Oh, Todd
But-
Gurley throwing
she
up
hasn't
points.
swapped out Christian Kirk yet. That's
No.
not good.
No, going into the week, she had 3 people on a bye week, so that was going to be rough no matter how you cut it.
Yes.
It was just going to be rough.
There are many different draft strategies. One of the best pieces of advice I've ever heard and I continue to hear is you don't win your league at the draft. There's a lot of work that comes after the draft, but there is some work that needs to happen there. And one thing is that I at least try and consider the bye weeks that I have on there.
Yeah.
So that I
Just stagger them a little bit.
small,
Just stagger
I'm
'em.
no professional exactly, but
Yeah.
I try and have at least one big running back and one big wide receiver on my lineup at all times. I don't want to have to piece together a bunch of wide receivers or have 2 shitty fucking running backs one week and guarantee a loss. Not interested. I want to make sure I have at least one banger at least position every week. You know, at least
Bro.
every position every week.
That point
So,
spread, man.
What I'm fucking
Tough.
saying, 2 points to fucking Case Bulls.
Dog.
Yeah, and that's Cody's defense. So that's
Playing
pretty
the
cool.
family.
Next year, I'm going to try and vote to see if we can get fucking kickers out of here. I'm so tired of kickers. Fuck a kicker, dude. None of my other leagues have kickers anymore. It's just ours.
How do we go to the league breakdown? Like the overall scoreboard.
Oh, yeah. Let's see, you can go to the standings too, but...
Oh, yeah, that's where I actually want. I want
Yeah.
standings.
So this is just so everybody knows, this is the fantasy league that Colin and I do together. Oh my god, if you're only listening, we're looking at it on the
Oh,
computer
yeah.
right now. We fucking live for the video now, but
Yeah.
we're talking about, so yeah, we are going over our league. It's called the League of $700 that Colin is in because there's a 14-team league. It's a $50 buy-in. And so you can look at this on YouTube and see our standings that we are going over right now.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, Colin is leading his division. Oh, and I'm right behind you.
You mean our division?
Our
Yeah,
division?
I'm leading our division.
Wow,
so
you
it's
must
not a
have
big deal.
scored like a few more points than I have.
It was
or-
last game. I got almost 200.
Yeah.
I got almost 200, and that
Oh,
really
yeah.
closed the gap.
Yeah, you've scored more points than I have.
Yeah.
54 more points than I have.
1053.
Yeah.
Does anybody else have that much? No? No? Nobody?
Oh, Morgan.
1046.
Almost. You have scored the most points in the whole league. Look at
Wow.
you, murder baller.
Hot dog. The
Who
name
has
change is
had
dealing
the
me
most
real well.
points scored against them? Jordan, I
Is that
think.
PA, points
Yeah,
scored
points
against.
Yeah, Jordan has
938.
1071.
1033, 1071. Right behind.
My wife.
Yeah, is
Jordan's
Morgan.
been struggling. Jordan is,
It's been a tough year.
yeah,
It's been a tough year.
yep. She's at least not in our division. She's 2-5. That's no good in a 14-team league, and I think in our league only 8 people get into the playoffs. It's pretty fucking
Yeah.
brutal. It's pretty savage. It's very difficult. There's only like a five bench slots, one IR slot.
Yeah, it's
we
4
have
bench and an IR.
and a
so
huge roster, like a huge. I was
many.
thinking about that. Yeah, we have a quarterback, 2 running backs, 2 wide receivers, 2 flexes, a tight end, and defense and a kicker, and only 5 bench spots. But the thing is, like with 14 teams,
God, that was funny.
there's really not that many other players that you want to pick up.
No.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
No, by the time then you're just trying to
Yeah.
make trades at that point
Exactly.
with other people. And people have been coming after me hot, and I just been
really?
yeah,
I have been trying to cook up a trade the last couple weeks, and
fucking
nobody wants my shit.
So we're in week 8 now, right? So I want to say week 6 was must have
Oh,
been
that was
week
week
7.
6 that you and I played.
Week 7.
Oh, yeah.
She's like running hella slow with all
Yep,
this stuff.
there
going
it
on.
is.
But I wanted to see
Oh,
my
that's
bench. What was his name? Henry.
Oh.
Edward.
oh, Derrick Henry.
Derrick Henry.
You left him on your bench that week?
No. I finally
Oh.
put him in. Oh shit, no. He got some the day he was on my bench.
Go to the complete stats.
There we go. The week he was sitting on my bench, he got like 40 points or something nasty. Something super nasty.
Did you lose that week?
Nope. But it was closer than it would have been. Oh, let's see here. Overall
The scoring.
scoring.
Oh,
Must have
Jesus.
been.
These are like, oh, God. The complete stats.
Oh yeah, this is like the whole 9
Yeah.
yards. Either way.
Back up.
But yeah, he's on my main roster now and just slaying it, dude.
Yeah.
It's been pretty great. So I'm really happy with the way the season's working out. I feel like I actually have a true shot.
Oh, week 6, 42.4 points.
42. There you go.
212
Week
yards
6.
and 2 teeters. That'll do it.
That'll do.
Plus, for like any run over 50 yards, you get an extra point. Every like reception over 50 yards, you get an extra point.
He was a freight
There's-
train.
Yeah. It's tough goings. Tough goings this league.
Yeah. It's tough.
Big fan though.
For some. Oh.
There
Oh.
was the fuck happened. There were some injuries. Talked about Dak Prescott, and I think Dak Prescott got fucked up. His leg through the skin, through the sock, or bone through the
Oh,
skin, through
yeah.
the sock, everything. That
Oh
was
yeah,
really bad.
that was from last show.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, that's a
Yeah, it's
Big
no
one.
good.
Yeah, there's usually no coming back from that.
Mm-mm.
Do we have a game on Thursday?
Yeah.
Yesterday?
There's always a game on Thursday.
Oh, I thought that like started partway through the season or some
Nope.
shit. Nope.
Falcons,
Always?
Panthers. It starts being played on Amazon part of the way through the season,
Oh.
so you can watch it on Prime now.
Oh, dope.
Yeah, the
Chris
quality
Carson.
is- Chris
Uh-oh.
Carson, yeah, he got hurt
Questionable.
last week. They said he's a game time decision. I don't think that he's going to play. That's why I don't have him in.
I hate those
But-
game time decisions.
I was lucky enough that I picked up Gio Bernard last week because Joe Mixon is hurt. So Gio was his backup. Pretty sweet.
That's fucking dope.
Pretty sweet. And I was playing
Pretty
Casey
sweet.
last week, and Casey had Joe Mixon. And so Joe Mixon goes down, and I scooped his backup. It was awesome.
Oh, dang.
I was laying on the floor in the house, and I did it, and Jordan was sitting on the couch, and I turned over, and I told her what I did. And I like cackled almost. I found so much pleasure in having stolen a player, and then I lost
so
by
good.
2 fucking points.
Dude. Oh,
Yes.
man.
All
I forgot
the
what it
same
was. But you remember last time we were here, we were talking about that trade that
Yes.
popped in, right? And I said, fuck off to that trade. And Cam
Good
Newton got
call.
negative points that
Yes.
week.
Yeah,
Oh,
and Derrick
bro.
Henry's been way better than Clyde
Hell
Edwards-Helaire. Yeah.
That would have been ridiculous.
I'm glad that you didn't do it, because after the shock wore off, I was like, he definitely shouldn't do that.
No.
But at that moment, I was like, I don't understand what's happening.
It was so out of the. It was so wild.
Crazy. Chad is usually such a. I love you, Chad, if you're listening. But he's such a shisty trader that I was like, I don't trust what's happening here, and I've been in this room for 5 hours, so I don't know.
I don't know
what
what's going on.
happened sports wide that has led to this. I was trying to look at shit on Instagram while I was sitting there to see if like something happened.
What? This doesn't make sense.
I was like, I don't understand.
That's fucking great.
Yeah.
Oh.
So I honestly have to see if I have a line for this week.
Oh yeah.
And we'll see.
So I haven't made up my mind yet
On what?
on what to do about Tuesday.
Oh,
I am.
the election.
Yeah, I'm not. We're rather fortunate being on the West Coast. It doesn't necessarily go till all fucking night. But I'm trying to make some arrangements, perhaps, and maybe do a live stream of it as it unfolds throughout the evening. But at the same time, if there's 1 year to not do that, it's probably this year, because I mean, we'll be watching. I'll be watching regardless. And if certain states start to go, it'll basically spell a Biden's going to win scenario. Yeah. But at the end of the day, if it kind of works out relatively even, we probably won't. We're probably not going to know on election night.
Probably not.
So
I don't think so.
I don't think it's really necessary anymore.
We'll be live tweeting it, probably some videos
for sure.
and whatnot.
We'll at least be live tweeting it.
Yeah.
And that's not to say that you'd have to be here or anything, but I might just try to, just for the sake of you can jump into the chat, baby.
Yeah.
Because I need to do another one of them fucking YouTube live streams after that cluster F
do it
today.
Do it.
Word.
I haven't been erasing these, which is unfortunate. I think this one's good.
Okay.
I don't think I've used this one, because after this I got to just strip it and start going with the new fresh. So thank you. Before we end, thank you everybody for joining us. Yeah, next week or next episode, it sounds like we're gonna have Larry Dixon on. He has agreed. Local celebrity, local hero, taxman Larry Dixon will be on. We're gonna talk about the election. I'm praying to God that we know who the president is 2 weeks from now, because if we don't, I will be super scared.
Oh, do you want to know something that's really going to terrify you? Looking at the 2016-2020 comparison for Washington State voter numbers, they count our ballots, or they counted in 2016 to the 29th of November. Not that the amount coming in would have changed the sway, but they're still coming in.
Do you find it interesting at all how even telling somebody to vote has almost become partisan?
Yes.
Like almost no Republicans, are saying like, make sure you get out and vote. Like, make sure it's turned like a very democratic, like progressive thing, which I think is weird. And that's why every time I've done a video for us, I've been like, we're not telling you who to vote for. Like, dear God, fucking vote, please. Just inform yourself and vote. I'm not telling you to do it.
Yep.
I don't care. Doesn't matter. Not Democrat. Don't do it.
I'm just saying.
I'm telling you. Just please.
Yeah. Like, Shapiro's been all right about it, but he's speaking to his audience.
Right.
The commercials and stuff you're seeing on TV or on YouTube, those are speaking to one audience.
Before Donald Trump was the worst and the root of all evil, we never saw these commercials
ever
in the NFL. Russell Wilson, Pete Carroll, that are like, oh right, you're not even fucking watching football, so you don't even know.
No, I haven't been.
You haven't watched any football at all?
No. Well, usually, because nowadays it's
I
always
can't imagine my life
on
without
Sundays.
Football.
I usually have my phone here with the fantasy app pulled up, and I get the play-by-play stuff coming in. So I'm like checking stuff, and then working on the show and stuff, and then just watching progress.
Commercials not only during Seahawks games, but on regular cable during every football game. That's like,
I saw a bunch at the bar the other day.
Pete Carroll. That's like, in 2016 only X amount of % of people voted, and like that's crazy. Why would we do that? What are we gonna do to change it? And then Russell Wilson, like, I fucking registered and voted early, and then I did that, and that's how I did it. And then there's another one where it's Pete Carroll and Russ and a bunch of other players that are like, oh, only 2/3 of people voted, or whatever. Like, I only want to win 2/3 of the games, and like saying a bunch of shit like that. And so there's a bunch of different ones that are like I said before, Donald Trump was the root of all evil. That didn't happen. There wasn't a massive go vote campaign across every social media platform, and
not to this level.
No.
The whole vote or die situation and shit back in the day, and there's been a few try to get out the vote campaigns, but nothing like this.
Remember that South Park episode?
Oh yeah.
Vote or die, motherfucker! Vote or die!
Loved it. South Park is an allegory on life.
So funny.
But yeah, that's
the ending line. Vote or die, motherfucker! Yep. Vote or die.
If all the stats and stuff continue to kind of indicate what we think they're indicating, we will have record turnout, and the commercials seem to be working.
I remember. This will be the last thing we'll talk about, and then we are going to say vote or die.
for sure.
That is going to be the ending line because I think that's funny. 2016 when Donald Trump won. Because I found out in the morning, right? That's what I want to know is when you found out Donald Trump
won the election. I was watching it live.
So I went to bed.
I was watching CNN too.
I went to bed probably at like 10, because that's usually about what time I go to bed, even when I wasn't going to. But at that time I was going to work pretty early, and I was like, not worried about it. Like, I had voted for Hillary Clinton, hated her, didn't trust her, but I was like, I absolutely cannot contribute to Donald Trump winning. I can't do it. I didn't at that time see not voting for president like as an option. I didn't even consider not voting for anything. It was like, I have to fill out everything even if I don't know. And so I voted for Hillary Clinton, and then, God damn it, I don't know that I've ever said that on this podcast before.
I didn't know you did that.
Yeah, I totally, because I didn't see another option at that time. I literally did not conceive of not voting for president. Like, I didn't, like doing everything else and not that. I did not even consider it.
That's funny.
That was the first time I'd ever voted. I didn't turn 18 until December, and so that was the first time I'd ever voted for president. I maybe had voted in the midterms before that, maybe. But other than that, I was like 21.
For your first vote, that's what you had to do.
It was gross. Ugh. I hated it. Anyway, so then the next morning, woke up in my bed, I can pull my phone down, and I was like,
how the fuck?
What? It's like, there's no way. It's like, this has to be a joke. There's no way. And then scrolling through, and then Jordan woke up like after that, and I was like, I don't know what to say for you. Yeah, she cried. She did.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Well, there'll be a lot of that again. There will be a lot of that again, I'm sure, on both sides.
So where were you at when you found out? You were living in the garage still?
Yeah, and I was watching it live on CNN. And
did you vote for Donald Trump?
I did.
You did?
Yeah, because I wanted the bull in the china shop.
You're gonna go for the two-piece, huh?
Not married to that decision yet.
You might go for the two-piece.
Might. The sad thing is, the scary thing is that I'm thinking about it.
The thing about it is that this is an amazing example of, well, first of all, I know you deeply, so I understand where you're at. But also, I love you, and
I fucking hate Donald Trump.
Yeah, and even if you loved Donald Trump, it's not.
Biden scares me.
I wouldn't allow this.
I hate Donald Trump. Biden scares me.
Yeah,
we'll put it that way.
That's why I was like, Parliament government. Parliament government. Let's do it. Yeah.
God, I gotta try to find that podcast.
And I'm so scared about the gun thing that I'm like, fuck the ATF. Get them fuck out of here.
That's the other thing.
I'm
Trump's
super scared.
Not great on guns.
No,
he's bad on guns.
He kept all these people that are in now are Bush and Obama era ruling people in the ATF, and the way that shit's going now, I'm super scared that they're gonna make millions of people felons overnight and not give a shit about it.
Did that not happen already though?
So I've heard that it didn't.
Okay.
Right? Because I saw all
I've heard both already. And I just
saw these posts about the pistol braces, and then I saw like the next day that wasn't true. And so I honestly don't know for sure.
Better look into it.
Like I said, as far as the honey badger thing goes that we're talking about, it seems pretty obvious that that's a precursor to what they're trying to go for.
Yeah.
But I haven't seen that to be fact for certain. So
word.
I don't
Which
know.
is exactly why the people need to
vote or die.
That was so bad.
Yes, that was awesome.